Chapter 611. Hee hee. Are you scared of me? Seed Shop Headquarters. I will now begin the drawing to select applicants for Sejun Company. Yes. At Lee's words, the non-combat gods looked at the lottery box with determined expressions. And then, Russell. Lee reached into the lottery box, pulled out a folded slip of paper, and opened it. Wow, the god of walnuts, as Lee called out the name written on the slip. Wow, wow, congratulations. I'm so jealous that you're becoming a full-time employee at Sejun Company. Wow, congrats. So now you're going to get the achievement monument from Trustin Park. The non-combat gods who weren't selected congratulated Wow. Guys, I'm sorry. Wow, on the verge of tears, felt guilty towards his friends. Hey, why are you crying? You got in first so you can help us later. Yeah, Wow, you learn first and teach us. You're smart after all. His friends gave Wow a purpose so he wouldn't feel guilty. Okay, I'll learn diligently and teach you all. While Wow and his friends deepened their bond. Kumu, the god of fluffy clouds. Sedu, the god of rotten wood. Dit, the god of ditch. All around, the non-selected non-combat gods congratulated those who were chosen, and the chosen ones comforted those who were not. The reason for selecting Sejun Company applicants through a lottery at the Seed Shop headquarters was due to a shortage of divine power. In order to apply for Sejun Company, one had to enter Theo's mental world, but their divine power was insufficient to send all the non-combat gods. Thanks to Sejun, the non-combat gods' circumstances had improved significantly compared to before, but they were still far behind the combat gods. I will definitely become a full-time employee of Sejun Company. I'll earn lots of divine power with the achievement monument. With such determination, the 100 selected non-combat gods departed for Theo's mental world. However, why isn't anyone coming? Unlike the scene at the Seed Shop headquarters, the combat shop headquarters was completely different. The combat gods showed no interest in joining Sejun Company. If you become a full-time employee, Chairman Park will personally erect an employment achievement monument for you. Bev, who was in charge of full-time employees for combat gods, tried his best to persuade passing combat gods along with Battler, Hunt, and Thunder. What's so special about the chairman doing it? And what do we use achievement monument for? How much divine power does that measly thing even give? Sejun's reputation among the combat gods was too low, and the achievement monument wasn't an appealing enough reward. At this rate, no one will apply. Bev fell into deep thought. If none of the combat gods joined Sejun Company, it would be a disgrace to his role as the combat god employee manager. Combat gods who want to fight strong opponents gather here. So he changed the recruitment strategy to match the combat god's nature. Immediately. You mean we can fight strong opponents? Ha ha ha, you just need to pass through that door and fight the largest being. All right. Battler Nim, I want to challenge a strong opponent. Good, Buko, the god of axes, you're as brave as ever. Ha ha ha, of course, without courage I'd be a corpse. If you pass through that door, you'll find your opponent. One by one, the combat gods began moving towards Theo's mental world. When they got there and charged at Theo, they'd get defeated and be forcefully employed, but that didn't matter to them. What was important was that the number of full-time employees who were originally combat gods would increase. Thus, the combat gods entered Theo's mental world. Non-combat gods were there too. They saw a long line of non-combat gods, each stamping a paper given by a cat clinging to a massive being. HMPH, begging even here. The combat gods sneered at the non-combat gods standing in line, then. Fight me. They charged at Ultra-Giant Chairman Park number 2. Boom. Pew Hut stamp at meow. And were forcefully employed into Sejun Company. Then, Pew Hut, combat gods from now on, listen to the non-combat gods meow. Why should I listen to them? Pew-hoo-hoo, Because you dared to challenge ultra-giant Chairman Park number 2, meow. So what if I did? The combat gods ended up serving the very non-combat god they had mocked as their superiors, while Theo was diligently recruiting full-time employees. Blackie's mental world. Everyone, eat this and please forgive our Blackie. Sejun was handing out roasted and dried sweet potatoes to the souls. I'm sorry, please forgive us. We're really sorry. The Blackie family followed behind Sejun, apologizing to the souls. The sight of the massive Blackie family trailing after the small Sejun was somewhat amusing, but being with Sejun allowed them to offer more sincere apologies, and the souls could better feel the Blackie family's genuine remorse. I forgive you. Thanks to that, the number of souls forgiving the Blackie family quickly increased. Whoosh! Each time, the thoughts of corruption lingering in the souls dissipated under Sejun's gaze. But whenever things go too smoothly, problems always arise. Gyuraruk. A corruption's resentment appeared, far too thick and ominous to have come from just one soul. And then, Kyuhyuha, so, you're the one who has been destroying me. Corruption, unable to form a solid shape, looked at Sejun with its shifting, unstable eyes and grinned with a grotesque mouth. Sizzle. Even under Sejun's gaze, Corruption's body only suffered slight burns and wasn't significantly damaged. Against a corruption capable of maintaining a form without dispersing, Sejun's primordial power was too weak and ineffective. Butler, come here. Sejun Nim, please get behind us. Blackie and his subordinates moved to shield Sejun and the souls, preparing to attack corruption. But, Kyuhyuha, apostles of destruction, can you ever forget the painful scars of your betrayal? Fenrir, you poor wolf, betrayed by a friend who killed your mother. Halfas, you poor immortal bird who became a death crow after being betrayed by your own brother. Jormungandr, the pitiful serpent, forced to swallow your sister to avoid being devoured yourself. Shut up. No, that's... With just a few words that struck their deepest wounds, corruption shook the Blackie family's resolve. Their traumas ran too deep for them to remain unaffected by such insignificant remarks. And then, Park Sejun, you. What, this guy? Corruption, intending to trigger Sejun's trauma, hesitated in confusion. Timid, deeply insecure about inferiority, envious of others, yet strangely, there was no apparent trauma to exploit. Even gods have at least one small trauma, but this clueless fool has none. How is this even possible? Corruption had encountered an enemy it had no means to manipulate. Hee, are you scared of me? Sejun's attitude was so insignificant and frivolous that even his own allies felt second-hand embarrassment, but he didn't seem dangerous at all. At that moment, Sejun Company has achieved a divine-level achievement by bringing together gods from the three great divine factions under one organization. From now on, all achievement rewards earned by Sejun Company will be received by its chairman, Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun, as the representative. Letter Windif of its six letter Fia, a symbol Thrifada, letter Windif of its seven Cyrilicia. As a reward for achieving a divine-level achievement, divinity increases by 15. As a divine-level achievement reward, the stay fee for the 0th floor of the Black Tower decreases by 0.3%. A message appeared before Sejun. This is possible too. Sejun was shocked as he checked the message. He had started Sejun Company just for fun, yet it had grown to a level recognized by the system. Of course, that was just Sejun's perspective. Sejun Company had actually grown to the point where it was a threat to the system itself. Whoosh! Perhaps due to his increased divinity, a small flame ignited on Corruption's body where Sejun's gaze touched. Fizzle! It quickly extinguished, but... Whoosh! Sejun widened his eyes and continued to glare at Corruption. Unlike before, now his gaze could at least set it aflame. He planned to burn it down little by little, until it was completely destroyed. And then, Chairman Park, keep it up. Meow. Sejun Company has achieved a divine-level achievement by surpassing 100 divine-level full-time employees. As a reward for achieving a divine-level achievement, divinity increases by 10. As a divine-level achievement reward, the stay fee for the 0th floor of the Black Tower decreases by 0.1%. Outside, Theo was assisting Sejun. Whoosh! Thanks to Theo's assistance, the flames on the parts of corruption touched by Sejun's gaze grew even larger, and this time they didn't extinguish so easily. Vice Chairman Theo, well done. Knowing that this was Theo's way of helping, Sejun silently expressed his gratitude and continued to focus his gaze on corruption. Whoosh! As Sejun's divine power grew stronger, corruption slowly burned away and disintegrated under his gaze. Phew! After an exhausting day, Sejun sighed in relief. Butler, thank you. Blackie, expressing his gratitude, licked Sejun enthusiastically with his massive tongue. It's so wet. Before Sejun could even protest, he lost consciousness. The next morning, stretch, a quest has been generated. Quest, send the tear of the incomplete creator god to Amila Ibings, the first apostle of the creator god. Reward, for each drop of tear of the incomplete creator god sent, receive 5 drops of great growth elixir. As Sejun woke up and stretched, a quest message appeared before him. Amila, under the creator god's instructions, had timed the quest to coincide with Sejun waking up. Here you go. Sejun sent the 12 drops of tear of the incomplete creator god he had. You have completed the quest 12 times. As a quest completion reward, you have obtained 60 drops of great growth elixir. A glass bottle filled with a red liquid appeared in Sejun's hand. Gulp! Sejun immediately drank about half of the liquid from the bottle. Then you have consumed 35 drops of great growth elixir. You have gained 350 million experience points. Your lowest stat, agility, has increased by 3,500. Proficiency of mastery of farming tools LV, 1 has increased. Proficiency of transplanting LV, 6 has increased. Proficiency of bunker LV, 4 has increased. Bunker LV, 4 proficiency is full, the skill has leveled up. Messages flooded in. His experience and stats increased instantly, while skill proficiency randomly increased 35 times. I drank 5 extra drops. Oh well, there's still plenty left. Sejun wasn't bothered by drinking a bit more than intended. Drip. Drip. He generously dropped 1 drop each into the mouths of his companions. Just as people become more generous when they have a full storehouse, Sejun, now abundant in elixirs, had no hesitation in sharing. Including Theo, Kyungi, Peacebees, and the Blackie family, he used a total of 15 drops, yet 10 drops still remained in the bottle. The rest should go to Flamey. At Sejun's call. Sejun Nim, you're awake. Flamey, who had been resting atop Sejun's head with her leaves fully spread, responded energetically. Yeah, Flamey, drink this. Sejun handed the bottle of great growth elixir to Flamey while she was still on his head. Oh no, I made a mistake. Flamey pretended to fumble and spilled the entire elixir onto Sejun's head. For Flamey, who was barely maintaining her balance of power, drinking the elixir was absolutely impossible. What? Sejun panicked at the sudden dampness on his head. At that moment, you have absorbed great growth elixir through your scalp. Your hair roots have strengthened. Talent, strong hair roots has bloomed. A message popped up in front of Sejun. Talent, strong hair roots. A talent that strengthens hair roots, preventing hair loss. Thanks to this, Sejun would never have to worry about balding for the rest of his life. Flamey, well done. Sejun praised Flamey so she wouldn't feel bad, then had breakfast. All right, time to go find the tablet. He set off on an underwater expedition. Temple of the Creator God. Creator God Nim, during the process of making great growth elixir from the tear of the incomplete Creator God that Sejun sent, this was formed. Amila handed over small, jewel-like grains of sand that shimmered with a mystical glow. Chapter 612. You're in big trouble when the butler arrives. 77th floor of the Blue Tower. I can't see it. Since morning, Sejun and his companions had been searching the sea for hours, but they couldn't find the Creator God's tablet. It's time to eat now. Guys, let's have a contest to see who catches the best one. As mealtime approached, Sejun suggested a hunting contest to his companions. After the mutant seaweed disappeared, creatures that had been hiding in the sand or under rocks started moving again, making it easy to catch prey. Hut, Vice Chairman Theo will take first place. Meow, Kyung. Kyungi will catch the most. Kilahit Kaying. The great Blackie will win. With Sejun's proposal, the group became eager and scattered in all directions, while Sejun moved to collect something he had already spotted. Hehe, I saw something good earlier. If I get that, first place is mine. In truth, Sejun had suggested the contest with the intention of taking first place himself. A short while later. Thud. Hut, Chairman Park, look at this. Meow. I caught something amazing. Meow. While Sejun was resting and chatting with Flamey, Theo appeared and placed a massive clam with a dazzlingly colorful shell in front of him. I lost. Jewel pen shell. Just selling the jewels attached to the shell would easily bring in hundreds of billions of tower coins. Hehe, on top of that, I can make buttered pen shell scallops. Oh, as expected of Vice Chairman Theo, well done. As Sejun thought about the dishes he could make with the pen shell, he praised Theo. Hut, of course. Meow. I Vice Chairman Theo am always great. Meow. Feeling proud, Theo rubbed his head enthusiastically against Sejun's hand. At that moment, Kyung. Dad, Kyungi caught a lot of good stuff. Thud. Kyungi appeared, carrying an enormous pile of shellfish bundled together with his telekinesis. The pile contained clams, cockles, mussels, and more, easily over 10 tons. Ra letter FF4 Omicron Cyrillicia letter Wendes Xfa. Sejun's mind buzzed with images of mussel soup, grilled shellfish, and other delicious dishes. Oh, as expected of my son. Overjoyed, Sejun vigorously ruffled Kyungi's head with both hands in praise. Kyungi giggled with a big, satisfied grin at Sejun's praise. But why hasn't Blackie come out yet? As Sejun, starting to get worried, looked toward the sea. Kaying. Butler, help, help. Blackie was whimpering and calling for Sejun. Blackie. When Sejun quickly ran toward the source of the sound. Kaying. Let go of me, you're in big trouble when the butler arrives. He saw Blackie family struggling in a fierce battle after being caught by an octopus the size of a forearm. The Blackie family had tried to catch the octopus using the youngest, Cabolto, as bait, but instead, they ended up being hunted by it. Pewhup. Sejun tried to hold back his laughter at Blackie family's sunfish-like antics before stepping in to rescue them. Once everyone had gathered with their catches. This here is the ginseng of the sea, a sea cucumber. With a proud expression, Sejun took out a sea cucumber he had picked up from the sea and showed it off. It was long, bumpy on the surface, and wiggled unpleasantly, making it look pretty creepy no matter how one saw it. Meow, what is that? Meow. Kyung. Both Thea and Kyungi grimaced at the strange appearance of the sea cucumber. Kaying. This time I win. Trying to redeem himself from his earlier failure, Blackie lunged at the sea cucumber and took a big bite. Hey, that thing is poisonous. Kaying. Sejun quickly pulled Blackie away, who had gotten his tongue paralyzed by the sea cucumber's toxin. Then, he started cooking with the ingredients everyone had gathered. Somewhere along the way, everyone had forgotten they were even competing. Hut, it smells like delicious grilled fish. Meow. Kyung. Hehe, we have a lot of dishes today. Kilahit Kaying. The great Blackie defeated the sea cucumber. The group watched Sejun's back as he cooked, eagerly waiting for the meal to be ready. Using all the ingredients they had brought, Sejun prepared a lavish lunch. Guys, let's eat. And so they all had a meal together. Oh, this is delicious. Kueha Kuang. Hehe, that's right. Of course, the only one who ate every dish Sejun prepared with delight was Kuangi. Theo and Blackie family only ate grilled fish and roasted and dried sweet potatoes. After lunch, slurp, Sejun lay down on a sund, savoring the coffee Kuangi had brewed for him, enjoying his rest. At that moment, Sejun Nim, I think I need to go back. Flamey spoke in a gloomy voice. It was because Pottery, who had been holding back from evolving into a dimensional tree, had reached his limit. Honestly, the fact that he had endured this long was already close to a miracle, so Flamey couldn't ask him to hold on any longer. Really? Then let's hurry back. Upon hearing Flamey's words, Sejun quickly returned to the Black Tower so that Flamey could rest underground on the 99th floor. He left his belongings behind, since he planned to return to search for the tablet again. Return. Thinking it was urgent, Sejun activated the Dragon Horn's return bracelet. Wulong. The golden characters engraved on the bracelet began to glow. The return magic engraved on the Dragon Horn's return bracelet is activating. Calculating the distance between the current coordinates and the return target coordinates. Returning to the designated location. Sejun disappeared from the 77th floor of the Blue Tower. You have arrived at the 99th floor of the Black Tower. As soon as he returned home, Sejun Nim, then I'll see you next time. Flamey, who had been perched on Sejun's shoulder, spread her leaves as wide as possible and embraced him. Yeah, see you next time. Next time I'll have plenty of elixirs ready for you. Hee, you don't have to. Sejun gently patted Flamey's forehead, soothing the sadness of parting. Then I'll go now, Sejun Nim, take care. Knowing that it would be uncertain when she'd see Sejun again after this, Flamey forced a cheerful voice before disappearing underground. It's done, I don't have to hold back anymore. At the same time, Pottery, who had been desperately holding back, finally began evolving into a dimensional tree. Rumble. Releasing everything he had suppressed for the past 10 days, Pottery's 7 roots rapidly stretched out into different worlds. Usually, when a tree becomes a dimensional tree, it initially takes root in 5 worlds, but perhaps because Pottery had held back for so long, he immediately planted himself in 7 worlds. Considering that it normally takes around 1,000 years to establish roots in an additional world, this was an astonishingly compressed growth. It was practically the discovery of a new growth method. Shiver. Seeing Pottery, Sausage trembled his branches. He had a bad feeling that he might be the next target for testing this new growth method. Just then, a new infrastructure has been established within Sejun Company. The World Tree Communication Network has been launched for Sejun Company. From now on, communication between world trees belonging to Sejun Company is possible. A message appeared before the world trees Flamey had nurtured. Whether it was fortunate or not, Sausage wasn't the only one who would be tested. That's a relief. Sausage felt a sense of relief, thinking he had found comrades in suffering. However, Black Tower 79F, birds bearing world tree Sparky. Hi, I'm Sparky, a tree who dreams of becoming a dimensional tree one day. Silver Tower 82F, grape world tree Pose. Hello, I'm Pose, a tree aspiring to become a dimensional tree. Earthworm Destruction Devourer World Tree, Iasipo. I'm Iasipo. Let's work hard together to become dimensional trees. Omid Generous Green Onion World Tree, Omipis. I'm Omipis. By the way, my name was given by Sejun Nim. Let's do our best. The world trees on the World Tree Communication Network were not normal. As the world trees introduced themselves and passionately committed to the shared goal of becoming dimensional trees, Sejun Company's dimensional tree Pottery has rooted in 7 worlds. A new subgroup for the Sejun Company Employee Communication Network has been opened. A message appeared stating that a subgroup of the Sejun Company employee communication network had been established. And then manager, combat shop headquarters, god of axes, Buko, we have a dimensional tree in our company. What the hell, our company is really amazing. Manager, seed shop headquarters, god of peanuts, Pippi, a dimensional tree. As expected of don't ask, don't question, just trust and park. Everyone chant with me. Manager, seed shop headquarters, god of walnuts, wow. Don't ask, don't question, just trust and park. Manager, seed shop headquarters, god of stones, Toga. Don't ask, don't question, just trust and park. Within the employee communication network, the chants of the non-combatant gods praising Sejun echoed silently. Once again, Sejun Company was thriving day by day. Flamey, rest well. Sejun gently ran his hand over the spot where Flamey had disappeared and spoke softly. Then, since I'm back, I should take care of some work. Having spent a long time on the 77th floor of the Blue Tower to make memories with Flamey at the sea, Sejun stopped by the 10th tower and Earthworm to take care of his backlog. There was nothing particularly special at the 10th tower, so he simply planted the seeds that had accumulated there. Meanwhile, at Earthworm, which he reached via the dimensional gate, Sejun found 10 new drops of the Tear of Destruction waiting for him. Gulp, gulp. The Tears of Destruction transformed into Sejun's appearance. Thanks to this, 10 Destruction Sejuns worked hard in Sejun's place, planting Destruction Devourer seeds. Tui tui tui. At this point, even the Destruction Devourers, who had gotten used to Destruction Sejun, naturally spat out seeds to them, ensuring that the work continued smoothly even in Sejun's absence. Meanwhile, the 7 previous Destruction Sejuns had been completely purified, turning into 7 drops of Tear of the incomplete Creator God. Here you go. Sejun immediately sent the tears to Amila, and in exchange, received 35 drops of the Great Growth Elixir. Gulp. He drank them all at once, and as a result his mastery of farming tools, fire field, and crop miniaturization skill levels increased by 1 each. After finishing work and returning to the Black Tower, brother-in-law. Ace welcomed Sejun. Brother-in-law, these were harvested at dawn yesterday. Ace handed him blue-colored crops. Yesterday was a blue moon, huh? These were crops harvested during the blue moon. Puahiti, brother-in-law, please cook with these. Ace looked at Sejun with eyes full of anticipation. The taste of crops harvested during a blue moon was significantly enhanced. All right. Time to show off my skills. Determined to meet Ace's expectations, Sejun took the crops and headed to the kitchen to start cooking. A short while later. Sejun, when did you get here? Sejun, you've been too busy lately. Take it easy, will you? The 4 Dragons Council's dragons stealthily took seats at the kitchen table, eager to eat Sejun's food. And then, hello Sejun. Sejun, have you been well? Even the 5 Dragons Council's dragons, who normally wouldn't even greet the 4 Dragons Council's dragons, greeted Sejun and sat across from them. Zap! The dragon statues at the table glared at each other. At that moment, Sejun, you've been doing well at the Blue Tower, right? If anything is inconvenient, just let us know right away. The great blue dragon Kin spoke to Sejun, trying to flaunt his close relationship with him. Yes, I'll probably be heading back tomorrow morning. The Creator God told me where the tablet is, so I need to find it. Our Sejun even talks with the Creator God. You're really amazing. Wait, while it's true our Sejun is amazing, what do you mean our Sejun? Kin, Sejun is going to be my grandson-in-law. That's right, and he's our Ajax's sworn brother. Right, only we can use the term our Sejun. That's right. The 4 Dragons Council's dragons claimed that only they had the right to call Sejun our Sejun, and directed their arguments toward the 5 Dragons Council's dragons. TL. I think I explained it in an earlier chapter. If not, the use of our in Korean is equivalent to the use of my. What? He's not even married yet, then what do you mean grandson-in-law? Sejun, how about meeting our Ophelia? Have our Sylvia too. The Five Dragons Council's dragons also began making proposals, trying to strengthen their ties with Sejun. However, no, my heart belongs only to Aileen. Unlike his usual indecisive attitude, Sejun firmly rejected their offers without hesitation. There was not even a moment of uncertainty or awkwardness from considering the dragon's reactions. Kehihi, as expected of our Sejun, I knew I could trust him. TL Aileen. It was really fortunate, if Sejun had even pretended to consider it. Guys, thank you. Sejun raised his glass high toward the stars that had been flickering unusually much today, conveying his gratitude. Chapter 613. It's a clean sweep, meow. Forest of Creation. Candidate for the Tree of Creation. You have successfully nurtured a dimension tree. You have passed the third trial. Yes, does this mean I will become the Tree of Creation now? Flamey drooped her leaves weakly, speaking in a dejected voice as she asked the trial statue. Not a chance. What? Did you think becoming the Tree of Creation would be that easy? There are still more trials left. The trial statue scolded Flamey for trying to become the Tree of Creation so easily. Oh, why, you're right. I also think becoming the Tree of Creation shouldn't be easy. Yea, there are more than just 3 trials. Flamey's voice brightened up instantly. That's right. Becoming the Tree of Creation isn't so simple. There are still 2 more trials left. Then, will I have to seal my power again for the next trial? Thinking about sealing her power and going to Sejun, Flamey asked eagerly. No, there will be no more seals. What? Why not? Why? Sealing my power should make the trial more difficult. Didn't you say becoming the Tree of Creation shouldn't be easy? Flamey protested against the trial statue, who was now saying something different from before. It's because you've become too strong. The trial statue was frustrated, unable to admit the truth due to pride. Originally, sealing her power was the right course, but Flamey had grown so powerful that sealing her was no longer possible. In fact, even this time, the seal had nearly broken midway. Letter 1 E5B A umlaut small cap N O cute beta E umlaut letter 1 D42. Had it been just a little later, Sejun would have ended his life as an eternal bachelor. Without knowing it, he had danced on the edge of life and death multiple times. Candidate for the Tree of Creation, but don't worry, I will raise the difficulty of the trial in another way. The trial statue, admiring Flamey's enthusiasm for high-difficulty trials, reassured her. How will you make it harder? Flamey's excitement rose again. Before the trial, there is something you must learn. Something to learn. Yes, you'll learn how to create divine avatars. Normally, this is something learned after becoming the Tree of Creation, but, well, you're practically already there. The trial statue thought it wouldn't hurt to teach Flamey a few of the techniques that the Tree of Creation should know in advance. After all, there were no other candidates, and honestly, with just her current strength, Flamey was already the strongest Tree of Creation in history. Divine avatars. Yes, it's like a clone that carries a portion of your power. Oh, a clone of me. Flamey imagined a clone of herself playing joyfully with Sejun every day. Please teach me quickly. All right. Thus, Flamey began learning the method to create divine avatars from the trial statue. Morning on the 99th floor of the Black Tower. Sejun was busy cooking in the kitchen. Breakfast was already prepared, and now he was making lunch. He planned to return to the sea on the 77th floor of the Blue Tower and enjoy a picnic-style lunch there. Sejun placed a bamboo mat on the floor, laid a sheet of seaweed on top, and spread a thin layer of rice over it. Then he added a rolled omelet, julienned carrots, cucumbers, spinach, burdock root, crayfish meat, and seasoned radish, rolling everything up tightly. For the cucumber, he only used the crunchy outer skin for better texture, and since he didn't have pickled radish, he made seasoned radish instead. Mom used to do this when she was too lazy to go buy pickled radish, and it turned out delicious. Heh, is this our family's secret recipe? Sejun thought this dish was an improvised recipe by Kim Miran, but in reality, It was a creation of the famous franchise owner, Chef Beak. Completely unaware of this, he proudly said, "Kyungi say this is our family's secret recipe, seasoned radish kimbap." After brushing sesame oil over the kimbap, he sliced off the end pieces and popped them into Kyungi's mouth. "Kyung, it's delicious." Kyungi beamed with a big smile, happily shaking his body. "And then, our family's secret recipe, Kyungi will inherit it." "Kyung, Dad, how do you make seasoned radish?" "Well, that's—" Kyungi was burning with determination to master the family's secret recipe, bombarding Sejun with questions. While answering Kyungi's questions, Sejun diligently rolled hundreds of kimbap. "Here, Aileen, brother-in-law, take some to the dragons of the 4 Dragons Council and the 5 Dragons Council grandfathers, and have some yourself." After distributing the kimbap to Aileen and the other dragons, Sejun and his group had breakfast together. Then, "All right, let's head out." Sejun and his companions packed the lunchboxes filled with kimbap and set off once again for the 77th floor of the Blue Tower to search for the Creator God's tablet. "You have arrived on the 77th floor of the Blue Tower." Upon arriving at the 77th floor of the Blue Tower, Meow, Great Hybrid Chairman Park, our jewel pen shell is missing, meow. "Theatson, this is a theft case." They were greeted with a robbery. "Everyone, check if anything else is suspicious." At Sejun's command, Pyu Hut, "Understood, meow. Leave it to Detective Theatson, the famous assistant of Sherlock Sejun, meow." "Kyuehe Kyuung." "Hehe, Detective Cunnan will also search for evidence." "Kilahit Kaying." "Hee Butler, the great Blackie will catch the culprit for you." Theo, Kyungi, and the Blackie family began searching for traces of the culprit who had stolen the jewel pen shell. Was anything else stolen? Sejun also checked for any other missing items. My seaweed." He discovered that the dried seaweed he had carefully laid out on a rock was also gone. "What the hell, who steals seaweed? It takes hours to dry this properly." Grumbling, Sejun quickly started laying out more seaweed on the rock to dry. A moment later, "Dada. Kaying. Butler." Blackie came dashing towards Sejun in a hurry. "Blackie, did you find something?" Kaying. "No, that's not important right now." "Then what is it?" Kaying. "Butler, what was the great Blackie's detective name again? Was it Detective Blackie?" "Detective Keikiabungi. TL. It's a play on words, and Keikiabungi here means clumsy or slow-witted, etc. It is just a slight modification of the Korean name for Blackie." Kaying. Was it that?" Blackie tilted his head in confusion, completely oblivious to the fact that Sejun was teasing him. At that moment, Pyu Hut, Detective Theatson, the famous assistant of Sherlock Sejun, has found a clue, meow. Theo returned, holding a single strand of blue fur. Sniff. Kyung. The scent continues this way. Kyungi started tracking the scent from the fur Theo had found. However, Kyung, the trail ends here. Since the area was surrounded by the sea, further tracking was impossible. "There's no helping it. Kinham, please help us." He had clearly said to ask if anything was troubling them. Recalling Kin's words from yesterday, Sejun requested the help of Kin Aster, the great blue dragon. And then, find every being that has passed through the 77th floor of the tower between last night and this morning. Kin Aster's order, issued in response to Sejun's request, resounded throughout the entire Blue Tower. The Wandering Merchant Guild in the Blue Tower was thrown into chaos. After all, anyone moving between floors of the tower would have used the merchant routes managed by the guild. As the floor bosses and wandering merchant scoured the area for the jewel pen shell thief, Sejun and his companions spent the entire morning searching the sea floor for the Creator God's tablet. However, why can't I find it? Once again they had no success. They definitely said to search the seabed. Mulling over the words of the creator god, Sejun surfaced and began preparing lunch. Hehe, cold kimbap needs hot soup. Sejun placed a pot of water on the fire and opened a ramen packet. Kimbap and ramen. The perfect combination. Just like us. Sejun looked at his companions and smiled. Kuehe Kyung. Hehe, Dad is a genius. Experiencing the combination of ramen and kimbap for the first time, Kyungi was in awe and once again praised Sejun. After their delightful lunch. Ah, this is nice. Sejun lay back on a sund, sipping his coffee. At that moment, Hut. Kuehe. Theo and Kyungi climbed onto Sejun's body, settling into place. However, Keikirorong. Blackie was sound asleep, a piece of roasted and dried sweet potato dangling from his mouth. Our Blackie must be cold. Hehe, the sea breeze is quite harsh. Seeing Blackie like that, Sejun's playful side kicked in. He covered Blackie with a thick blanket of sand, then lay back on the sund, pretending to know nothing and resumed his rest. A short while later, Kaying. Blackie woke up, whimpering as he struggled to free himself from the sand. Kaying. Who did this? Who dared to cover the great Blackie with sand? Detective Keiki Abungi will find the culprit for sure. He set off to investigate. But then, Blackie, do you want some roasted and dried sweet potato? Kaying. Completely distracted by food, Blackie instantly forgot about the investigation. While Sejun and his party were enjoying a peaceful moment. Sejun Nim, we found something. Zelga, the tower farmer of the Blue Tower, arrived with a clue about the jewel pen shell thief. So, you saw a ship carrying a huge object moving from the 77th floor to the 82nd floor. Yes. Fortunately, the 82nd floor was one of the floors where Sejun had registered a waypoint while searching for the creator god's tablet in the past. I was already frustrated from not finding the tablet. Now, I have a way to relieve some stress. All right, everyone, let's go. Sejun and his party set off for the 82nd floor of the Blue Tower to catch the jewel pen shell thief. Marcio, the port town on the Blue Tower's 82nd floor. Move it carefully. Inside the largest mansion in Marcio, a massive jewel pen shell covered in jewels was being transported. Meanwhile, where did that come from? Watching from a mansion window, Baccio, the legendary merchant of the Blue Tower, asked his subordinate Tobas. Hehe, some fool only ate the meat and left the shell behind. Really? There's actually an idiot who would abandon a jewel pen shell. Baccio asked, sounding a bit skeptical. Within Baccio's merchant group, Tobas was known as Tobas the Empty-Handed, because most of his trade ventures resulted in little to no profit. Baccio had continued to entrust Tobas with trade, believing that his diligence would eventually pay off. But now that Tobas had struck a big deal, Baccio felt a bit uneasy. Yes, and here, try this. I found it drying near the jewel pen shell. Dip it in this sauce, it's absolutely delicious. Tobas handed Baccio a piece of dried seaweed, which he dipped into Sejun's soy sauce seasoning before offering it to him. Even Sejun hadn't noticed that his seasoning had gone missing. Tobas, you knew someone was drying this, yet it never crossed your mind that they might come back for it. Realizing Tobas' mistake, Baccio scolded him. Where is it? Go return that jewel pen shell immediately and apologize. Yes, sir. Tobas, who had just thought he had finally lived up to Baccio's expectations, became dejected as he opened the door. And then, Hehe gotcha. Hut. As expected, the great detective Sherlock Sejun is incredible, meow. It's a clean sweep, meow. Sejun and Theo grinned wickedly as they looked at Tobas and Baccio, who stood behind him. A short while later, thud. Theo stamped Baccio's forehead with a seal, adding 2 more votes to Theo's impeachment tally. Then, Hut. From now on, Baccio will oversee the Sejun Company's Blue Tower branch, meow. If you ever need help, seek assistance from the 99th floor boss or Zelga meow. Yes, I'll do my best. Bachil had just gained the most powerful connections possible. After recovering the jewel pen shell and plundering half of Bachil's treasure vault. I'm hungry. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, grill some fish for me meow. All right, I'll use the kitchen too. They made themselves at home in Bachil's mansion, eating dinner there as if it were their own place. Then, let's head back. They returned to the 77th floor of the Blue Tower and resumed searching the darkened night sea. To be honest, the search was more of an excuse to digest all the food they had eaten. As they swam through the pitch-black sea, Sejun's eyes caught a glow rising from the distant seabed. Chapter 614, Show Your Sincerity Meow. Red Tower Administrator's Area. Pat, all 8 growth conditions for the Great Red Tower have been met. The Red Tower has begun its growth into the Great Red Tower. 10,000 days remaining until the Great Red Tower's growth is complete. You have grown 5 more world trees beyond the Great Red Tower's growth conditions. The time required for Red Tower's growth has been reduced by 5,000 days. The crystal orb shone golden as the Red Tower began its transformation into the Great Red Tower. And then, Piwahaha, we did it. The Red Tower Administrator, Ramter, cheered as he read the messages in the crystal orb. Out of the 9 towers, 4 had already become great towers: the Great Black Tower, the Great Blue Tower, the Great White Tower, and the Great Green Tower. Though they were late, they weren't too late. Since the Great Red Tower was the 5th out of 9, it was right in the middle. Behind the Great Red Tower, there were still 4 towers that had yet to undergo their transformation. Sejun, thank you. Ramter thought of Sejun, who had made the greatest contribution to the Red Tower's growth. Thanks to Flamey, Beanie, and 7 other world trees had grown in the Red Tower, far exceeding the requirement of cultivating 3 world trees. Recently, Theo had sold divine relics in the tower, allowing them to surpass the requirement of collecting 3 divine relics. Additionally, lowering the Red Tower's heat energy below 70% was a condition that Sejun's watermelon wine helped achieve, bringing it down to 55%, exceeding the requirement. Sejun had also driven locusts to extinction using his green onions, completing the achievement of accomplishing a great feat. Since exceeding a condition counted as completing 2 growth conditions, Sejun family had met 7 out of the 8 required conditions for the Great Red Tower's growth. Letter 1D633 Alpha, Eng letter 1D616 B, E circumflex letter 1D42C. The last condition was fulfilled when Udon became a B-rank tower farmer. As expected of our Sejun, I should give our Sejun some kind of gift. Crack. To express his gratitude for Sejun's immense contribution to the Great Red Tower's growth, Ramter cut off a small piece of his own horn and bestowal. He began crafting a gift for Sejun. 77th floor of the Great Blue Tower. As Sejun swam toward the glowing light, under a massive rock, he spotted a small passageway partially covered in sand. There was a place like this. If not for the light, it would have been nearly impossible to find the passage. Could the Creator God's tablet be here? Lying on his stomach, Sejun cleared the sand and entered the passageway. Well, from deep within the trench, an intense light was rising from below. It was like an enormous cliff had been flipped upside down, with the brilliance of the noon sun pouring out from its depths. I need to check it out. Sejun picked up a rock from the surroundings and leaped down into the trench, sinking rapidly along with his companions. However, this is getting boring. The trench was so deep that even after 30 minutes of descending, they hadn't even reached halfway down. Kyuungi. With Kyuungi's help, they used telekinesis to quickly reach the bottom. It's really bright. He discovered the source of the blinding light. The light was coming through a passage at the bottom of the trench. What's in here? Trusting his companions, Sejun fearlessly stepped forward to enter the passage. At that moment, the Orb of Death's energy warns of imminent death. The Orb of Death's energy formed ominous red letters in front of Sejun, issuing a warning. Even with everyone here, I'll die. A shiver ran down Sejun's spine as he realized the formidable danger ahead. But he was mistaken. Chairman Park, be careful, meow. This passage leads to the dimensional sea, meow. The Orb of Death's energy had issued its warning because the passage led to the dimensional sea. Really? Having been educated by the great dragons about the dimensional sea, Sejun quickly retreated. He then picked up a rock from the ground and tossed it into the passage. Kwang! A set of massive, fang-like teeth snapped shut like a bear trap, shattering the rock into dust. Only then could Sejun identify what was giving off the light. An anglerfish. It was a giant anglerfish with a round body and a glowing lure on its head. It had been luring prey with its light. At that moment, meow, Chairman Park, I feel a pull from that giant fish. Let's catch it, meow. Theo, feeling an intense pull, stared at the anglerfish and spoke. Really? Could it have swallowed the Creator God's tablet? It seemed likely that the tablet had fallen into the trench and was swallowed by the giant anglerfish. That would explain why Theo's golden front paw hadn't been able to find it. The trench was extremely deep, and if the anglerfish spent the day elsewhere and only came here at night to hunt, it made sense. Guys, it's a fishing competition. Whoever catches that thing first wins. Sejun shouted, pointing at the giant anglerfish. Pew hut, sounds good, meow. I Vice Chairman Theo will catch that giant fish, meow. Kuehe Kuang. Hehe, Kuangi has gotten good at fishing now too, you know. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, Kabalto, get ready. Theo, Kuangi, and the Blackie family all started pulling out their fishing rods, ready to catch the anglerfish. After the ice fishing on the 89th floor of the tower, Sejun felt the need for better fishing rods, so he had asked the dragons to make them using elastic dragon scales. By the way, Sejun had also sent a fishing rod made of dragon scales to his father Park Chun-ho, who loved fishing. Park Chun-ho went fishing every weekend, enjoying being the envy of everyone at the fishing spot, but stop wandering around so much. In the end, his wife, Kim Miran, confiscated the fishing rod after he started going fishing every weekend. All right, let's begin. Meow. Kuang. Kaying. At Sejun's call, his group swung their fishing rods toward the anglerfish, casting their bait. The anglerfish reacted, and the bait that caught its attention was yal. I'm getting eaten. Great Blackinum, pull me up quickly. It was none other than Kabolto, the youngest member of the Blackie family, dangling at the end of the fishing line. But a bait's job is to be eaten. Kaying. Kabolto, move quickly and get inside. Blackie ordered Kabolto to dive into the anglerfish's stomach. Yal. Yes. With teary eyes, Kabolto charged into the anglerfish's mouth. The youngest in the Blackie family truly had the toughest job. Boom! Fortunately, Kabolto wasn't chewed up and safely entered the anglerfish's stomach. Kaying. Pull now. The Blackie family pulled with all their might, but the anglerfish didn't budge. Instead, the anglerfish began slowly pulling backward. Kaying. Dragging Blackie family along with it. Blackie. Sejun dropped his own fishing rod and grabbed onto Blackie, trying to stop them from being pulled away. Meow. Kuang. Theo and Kuangi also dropped their fishing rods and rushed to help. Now, Sejun's entire group was gathered, pulling on a single fishing rod together. Whoosh! The giant anglerfish twisted its head sharply. And then, meow, kuang, kaying. Just like fish caught on a hook, Sejun and his companions were yanked into the anglerfish's mouth. The master of the push-and-pull game, the anglerfish, had superior fishing skills. The final winner of the fishing competition was the anglerfish. Did we just get eaten? Pew Hugh Hut, it seems so, meow. Theo replied cheerfully to Sejun's question. Nothing scared Theo, as long as he was with Sejun. As Sejun and Theo chatted, Yo. Great Blackingham, you've come to save me. Cabalto, misunderstanding the situation, was moved to tears, thinking Blackie had come to rescue him. Let's find the tablet first. Sejun got his team together and began exploring the anglerfish's stomach. As they wandered around inside the anglerfish's belly, Chairman Park, the strongest pull is coming from over here, meow. Theo pointed to the bottom of the stomach, where acidic digestive fluids had pooled. Underneath that, Kyungi. Kyung. At Sejun's call, Kyungi used telekinesis to part the digestive fluids. Like the miracle of Moses, the fluids split apart, revealing various objects that had sunk to the bottom. Most of them were severely corroded by the digestive acids. However, some objects remained completely undamaged, even by the anglerfish's powerful stomach acid, soul-slicing jet black fang. Indomitable iron wall. Magic stream fragment. They were legendary weapons, or items imbued with powerful magic. Hehe, Vice Chairman Theo, let's collect them. Pew Hugh Hut, sounds good, meow. As Sejun and his companions searched through half of the stomach's floor, collecting valuable items. Found it. At last, the Creator God's tablet was revealed. At that moment, sploosh! The digestive fluid suddenly shook. The giant anglerfish had begun moving away from the passage, connected to the 77th floor of the Blue Tower, to another location. Forest of Creation. This should be enough. The trial statue spoke, while observing the avatar created by Flamey. However, not yet, I can still do more. Flamey refused to give up. It wasn't because Flamey hadn't mastered what the trial statue had taught. The avatar holds 5% of your power. That's more than enough to take the trial. No, I need an even weaker avatar. But simply because Flamey was trying way too hard. This World Tree candidate is really serious about the test. The trial statue looked at Flamey with admiration. However, this isn't enough to stay with Sejun Nim. Flamey's true goal was to create a weaker avatar to play with Sejun. What Flamey wanted was an avatar with only 1/1,000,000th of her power. There was still a long way to go. As Flamey continued pouring effort into making an avatar. Oh, Sejun Nim is in danger. The tree magic cast on Sejun alerted Flamey of his danger. Why is Sejun in the dimensional sea? Flamey discovered that Sejun was in the dimensional sea. Although confused, there was only one priority, getting Sejun back to the tower. Boom! Flamey hurriedly moved her roots. Dimensional sea. Rumble! Suddenly, a massive current formed, pushing everything away. The giant anglerfish, which had been about to move elsewhere, was also swept up in the current, dragged back into the passage connected to the 77th floor of the Blue Tower. The anglerfish was helpless against the powerful sea currents, being forced back through the deep trench, up through the sea, and then into the sky. The sea on the 77th floor of the Blue Tower reversed its flow. No, it wasn't just this floor. Most floors connected to the dimensional sea experienced a similar phenomenon, albeit to different extents. A short while later, boom! As the current weakened, the anglerfish crashed onto a rocky island. Urgh! And with the impact of the fall, Sejun and his party were spat out from the anglerfish's mouth. This is the 77th floor of the Blue Tower. As Sejun regained his senses, he looked around in shock. He was sure they had been at the very bottom of the trench, but now they were back on land. What just happened? Sejun was completely confused about how they had ended up here. Pew Hugh Hut, Flamey, thank you, meow. Haha, thanks Flamey Nuna, you saved us, you know. Theo and Kyungi expressed their gratitude to Flamey. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, the great Blackie has won. At some point, Blackie had climbed on top of the anglerfish's body, declaring victory. A little while later. Kin Nim, what does this say? Sejun asked Kin to read the inscription on the Creator God's tablet. Seventh commandment. When all tower farmers gather, the abilities of all tower farmers will be enhanced. So if everyone gathers, all their abilities increase. Not just mine. That would make more sense balance-wise. Sejun felt slightly disappointed. All right, let's head back. After securing the Creator God's tablet, Sejun returned to the Black Tower. Of course, he compensated Kin by giving him watermelon wine and Transcendence black beans as payment for reading the tablet. When Sejun arrived back at the Black Tower, Sejun, I need your help. Tyr suddenly called out to him. Huh, what do you need help with? Sejun, I need you to turn our Purple Tower into Great Purple Tower. Because now the Purple Tower was the only one in the Four Dragon Council that wasn't a great tower. If left as it was, it could end up last among the 9 towers. And then, Puhu Hut, Tyr Nim, if you want the help of our great hybrid Chairman Park, you need to show your sincerity, meow. Theo, clinging to Sejun's knee, boldly extended his front paw toward Tyr. Chapter 615, Puhu Hut, what is humility, meow? Black Tower, 99th floor. All right, let's do it that way. Good, here's the advance payment. Tyr gave Sejun 1 trillion tower coins, 10 L of dragon blood, 5,000 dragon scales, and 1 kg of dragon claws as advance payment for helping make the Great Purple Tower. Other than the money, he didn't particularly need the rest. But there was no reason to refuse since Tyr was offering. Since Tyr was giving it, he accepted it without hesitation. For reference, if the Purple Tower successfully grew into the Great Purple Tower, he would receive a success bonus 3 times the advance payment, and the Purple Tower's legendary merchant would be hired as a full-time employee at Sejun Company. Once Sejun received the advance payment, Puhu Hut, thank you, Tierna meow. Unlike the way he had boldly extended his front paw, demanding sincerity, Theo now politely expressed his gratitude to Tyr. Indeed, not just anyone could become a legendary merchant. Do a haha, then I'll leave it to you. Yes, don't worry, trust us, we'll make it the 6th great tower for you. After Tyr left, Puhu Hut, Chairman Park, did I do well, meow? Theo quickly asked Sejun. He seemed eager to have his achievement recognized. Yeah, you did well. As Sejun patted Theo's head and praised him. Puhu Hut, I know, meow. I Vice Chairman Theo always do well, meow. Theo puffed up with pride, feeling elated. Yeah, our Vice Chairman Theo is doing great. Sejun continued to praise Theo. Puhu Hut, I'm so happy, meow. Inside Theo's mind world, the ultra-giant Chairman Park number 2 grew even bigger. As Sejun kept patting Theo's head. Kyung, Kaying, Kyungi and Blackie also pushed their heads under Sejun's remaining hand. All right. Sejun used both hands to pet all 3 of them evenly. Gororong, Kirorong, Kirorong. Soon the group drifted off into a happy dreamland. Sejun carefully placed the Blackie family into the sling bag and gently picked up Kyungi as he stood up. Theo had already clung to his knee, so there was no need to carry him separately. Holding the sleeping Kyungi in his arms, Sejun went to find Pinkfur. Kyungi must have been tired today, he said as he handed Kyungi over to Pinkfur. Kyung, Sejunum, thank you. It's nothing, there's no need for thanks between us. Sejun replied to Pinkfur's gratitude, but Pinkfur just stared at him intently. In Pinkfur's large eyes, emotions like sadness, anger, and resignation swirled together, making it impossible to tell exactly what she was thinking. Pinkfur, is something wrong? Sensing that something was off, Sejun cautiously asked. Kyung. It's nothing, please get some rest. Pinkfur quickly brushed off her emotions, cradled Kyungi in her arms and closed her eyes. What was that about? Unable to ask further, Sejun headed home. The moon and stars were hidden behind clouds, making the night darker than usual, but Sejun didn't mind. He was familiar with the path and surrounded by trustworthy beings, so he felt no anxiety at all. After a while, Peacebee's meal preparation complete. Sejun prepared the fruits that Peacebees would eat. As soon as he lay down on his pillow in the bedroom, Kyuyeo, he fell asleep instantly. The next morning, slurp. Let's see. After finishing breakfast, Sejun sipped his coffee while reviewing the paper Tyr had left earlier. Purple Tower's growth conditions, 2-8. Tower Farmer A achieved. Create 10 or more new crop varieties, not achieved 0-10. Neutralize 50% or more of the tower's poison, not achieved 45%. Grow 2 world trees, not achieved 0-2. Secure at least 10,000 pieces of world's energy, not achieved. Possess 15 divine relics, not achieved 315. Achieve 3 great accomplishments, achieved 3-3. Expand the Purple Tower's entrances to 120, not achieved 80-120. Where should I start? Sejun pondered as he examined the growth conditions for the Great Purple Tower. World's energy needs purification first, so exclude that. Creating 10 new crop varieties and expanding the tower's entrances to 120 would take too long, so those were also out. He decided to set aside the tasks that would take a long time. Since what Tyr wanted was for the Great Purple Tower to be completed in the shortest time possible. With those options eliminated, 4 conditions remained for Sejun to fulfill the growth requirements of the Great Purple Tower. Then let's start with the easiest one. Vice Chairman Theo, take out 13 divine relics. Hut got it, meow. At Sejun's command, Theo rummaged through his bag and pulled out the divine relics. However, meow. We're short 3, meow. There were only 10 divine relics in his bag. I, Vice Chairman Theo, need 3 more divine relics, meow. Gods, hurry up and send me 3 divine relics, meow. Theo urgently issued an order to the full-time gods of Sejun Company. Hell, the god of merchants, sends the divine relic automatic calculation abacus. Wow, the god of walnuts, sends the divine relic acupressure walnut. Buko, the god of axes, sends the divine relic ultimate battle axe. The gods hurriedly sent their divine relics to Theo. Hut, Chairman Park, here are 13 divine relics, meow. Thanks to this, Theo did not disappoint Sejun. Hut, thank you everyone, meow. Theo expressed his gratitude to the gods. However, there was another reason why the gods responded so quickly to Theo's request. Just a moment ago, a first-come, first-served emergency quest for 3 divine relics for Vice Chairman Park Theo of Sejun Company has appeared. Manager God of Merchants Hell, the hand is faster than the eye. Manager Seed Shop Headquarters God of Walnuts, wow, oh success. It was worth waiting since yesterday. Manager Combat Shop Headquarters God of Axes Buko, splitting it cleanly in one strike is the essence of axe techniques. For the full-time employees here, I'll sell my secret skill book, 1 chop 1 kill, at a 10% discount. Atulda omelet ya. The first-come, first-served emergency quest for 3 divine relics for Vice Chairman Park Theo of Sejun Company has been completed. As soon as Theo made his request, a first-come, first-served quest message appeared on the full-time employee communication network, and it was quickly claimed. Manager, Seed Shop Headquarters, God of Stones, Toga, too late. Manager Combat Shop Headquarters, God of Spears, Spy, so close. Manager, Seed Shop Headquarters, God of Sprouts, Bud. Why did it have to be when I was washing my face, Koyuyu Anus? The gods who missed out on Theo's quest regretted it. Hell, the god of merchants, Wow, the god of walnuts, and Buko, the god of axes, have completed Vice Chairman Park Theo's emergency quest and will each receive 5 Sejun Company welfare points. The reason they were so eager was because of the welfare points they could earn from completing the quest. These welfare points could be used in various ways, but 5 Sejun Company welfare points have been exchanged for 5,000 divine power. Most gods used welfare points to purchase divine power. 1 welfare point equals 1,000 divine power. For hastily made divine relics, the reward was quite generous. At that moment, Black Tower 40F Black Orc King Ulrich. Bukunim, I'd like to bulk purchase 100 copies of the One Chop, One Kill skill book. Ulrich, taken in by Buko's sales pitch, sent a message. Manager Combat Shop Headquarters, God of Axes Buko. Originally 9 points after 10% discount, but since it's bulk purchase, I'll give it for 8 points. Black Tower 40F Black Orc King Ulrich, thank you. Black Tower 40F Black Orc King Ulrich has sent 8 Sejun Company welfare points to Manager, Combat Shop Headquarters, God of Axes Buko. The transaction was completed. Thus, a new, infinitely producible weapon known as welfare points had emerged. Meanwhile, Vice Chairman Theo, thank you. The gods have been working hard making divine relics lately. Pew Hut, that's because Great Hybrid Chairman Park is amazing, meow. No, it's because our Vice Chairman Theo is competent. Pew Hut, that's true, meow. I Vice Chairman Theo am very competent, meow. Wow, this cat has zero humility. Pew Hut, what is humility, meow? I don't know such a thing, meow. More importantly, Chairman Park, your face is rotting, meow. It is not rotting. It is, meow. Rot, Chairman Park, I'm sorry, meow. Completely unaware of that fact, the chairman and vice chairman of Sejun Company spent yet another day playfully praising and teasing each other, cherishing these seemingly insignificant but precious moments. After spending time punishing and enjoying happiness by thoroughly stretching Theo's cheeks, Sejun let him go, and meow. Theo rubbed his own cheeks and immediately clung back onto Sejun's knee. Tiernam, here you go. Sejun quietly called Tyr over and handed him the 13 divine relics. The reason Sejun quietly called Tyr over was that Tyr had asked him to keep it a secret from the other dragons. Is this enough? Sejun asked Tyr. Duahaha, yes, now the requirement of divine relics is exceeded. Tyr checked the Great Purple Tower growth conditions, using the crystal orb, and laughed in satisfaction. That means out of the 8 conditions, 4 are now complete. Sejun crossed out, possess 15 divine relics on the paper with the Great Purple Tower growth conditions. And then, the answer was always at the site itself. For the remaining tasks, he decided to head to the Purple Tower and solve them there. Guys, Sejun gathered his group and used Waypoint to teleport to the Purple Tower. You have arrived at the 99th floor of the Purple Tower. As soon as Sejun arrived, Sejun, welcome. Welcome. Veronica greeted Sejun enthusiastically, while beside her, a slender female elf greeted him with an expression as if she had just swallowed something bitter. Unlike Veronica, who was happy to see him, the elf looked as if she had absolutely no desire to be here. And why am I in this place? Just as Sejun suspected, Choba, the Purple Tower's legendary merchant, was feeling quite wronged. With the growth of the Great Purple Tower, it was her fate to become this man's subordinate. At that moment, clang. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, I missed you, meow. Theo jumped out of the void storage and latched onto Sejun's face. Kyung. Kaying. Kyungi and Blackie also leaped out and threw themselves at Sejun. Maybe he's not so bad. Seeing how affectionate his companions were with him, Choba felt a little reassured. Pew Hut, legendary merchant of the Purple Tower, nice to meet you, meow, I am. Scary. That is, until Theo, while introducing himself, started fondling a stamp with a sinister grin. As Choba began worrying about her future. Veronica, why hasn't the detoxification rate here surpassed 50%? Sejun asked Veronica, thinking this would be the easiest problem to solve. That's because... Veronica began to explain. After planting the detoxifying green onion Sejun had given them, most of the Purple Tower's land had been purified of poison. However, the 66th floor. That was the problem. No matter how much detoxification they did, the percentage never exceeded 50%. And as time passed, the poison spread again, causing the percentage to drop instead. We searched every corner of the 66th floor, but we couldn't find the cause. Is that so? Veronica, do you have the land deed for Tower 66th floor? Yes, here it is. Veronica, who had prepared in advance, handed Sejun the 66th floor land deed. Guys, get back inside. After making sure his companions entered the void storage. All right, I'll be back soon. Swoosh. After saying goodbye to Veronica and Choba, Sejun unfolded the land deed and vanished. Will Sejun Nim be all right? Choba asked worriedly, her voice filled with concern as she looked at Veronica. She knew how dangerous the 66th floor was. Don't worry, Thea Nim went with him. Wait, what? That sinister-looking cat from earlier. Yes, as long as Sejunim and Thea Nim are together, there's nothing they can't solve. Huh. Just as Choba was trying to process Veronica's words, you have arrived at the 66th floor of the Purple Tower. Sejun had arrived at the 66th floor. And you have been poisoned by lethal poison. You are in an invincible state. You do not take damage. Vice Chairman Theo, Green Onion. Clang. Seeing the message, Sejun hurriedly opened the void storage. Chairman Park here, meow. Waiting right by the entrance, Theo swiftly grabbed a green onion and shoved it into Sejun's mouth. You didn't have to give it to me like that. Crunch, crunch. Sejun chewed on the green onion while glaring at Theo. Vice Chairman Theo did nothing wrong, meow. Theo averted his gaze as if he were innocent. Kaying. Butler, the great Blackie is dying. Blackie the sunfish, who was afflicted by the poison, called for Sejun. Chapter 616, Kyungi, that's dirty. 66th floor of the Purple Tower. Kaying. It tastes bad. Having barely survived, Blackie grimaced deeply as he chewed on the green onion. Is it really that bad? Watching Blackie struggle made Sejun uneasy, but there was no choice. If they wanted to survive, they had to eat it. Blackie, do you want to go back first? Sejun asked Blackie. Staying here meant having to keep eating green onions, and Blackie looked like he was having a really hard time. But that was Sejun's mistake. Kaying. Not going back. The great Blackie can eat lots of green onions. Sejun's words had hurt both Blackie's pride and triggered his trauma. Crunch, crunch. To prove that he could eat green onions just fine, Blackie chomped down on several at once. Sniff. The pungent spiciness of the green onion made his eyes and nose run simultaneously. Crunch, crunch. Even so, Blackie kept chewing on the green onion. Sejun found the sight both pitiful and endearing. All right, just eat one at a time. After taking the green onions from Blackie's mouth. Snap. Whoosh. Sejun snapped his fingers, creating fire, and began roasting the green onion over the flame. Kyung. Dad, are you making roasted green onions? Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Kyung. When Sejun made grilled green onions, Kyungi, remembering memories of eating grilled green onions with Sejun, also clumsily snapped his fingers to create fire. Letter 211D, letter 2115, letter 1ED7, letter 162, Hachek letter 23F. Whoosh. Of course, despite the clumsy snap, the power of his fire was far stronger than Sejun's. Oh, I should use this side instead. Seeing that Kyungi's fire was bigger and stronger, Sejun immediately extinguished his own flame and started roasting the green onion over Kyungi's fire. He briefly wondered, since when could Kyungi create fire? But isn't this something everyone can do? Having lived as the weakest among his party, Sejun had seen many of his companions' incredible abilities, so he simply accepted it. Once the roasted green onion was ready. Blackie, it's better when it's roasted right. Sejun peeled off the charred outer layer of the roasted green onion and put it into Blackie's mouth. However, just because it was roasted didn't mean it stopped being a green onion. Kaying. Butler, it's better than before, but green onions still taste bad. Give me some roasted and dried sweet potato too. Blackie whined, demanding roasted and dried sweet potato as well. All right. Such a cute little thing. Sejun gave Blackie the roasted and dried sweet potato. Kivihit. Only after stuffing the sweet potato into his mouth did Blackie finally regain his smile. And then, here Vice Chairman Theo. Sejun fed Theo a churu mixed with green onion that he had prepared for a moment like this. Chomp chomp chomp. Pew hut, Chairman Park, your churu is delicious, meow. Fortunately, thanks to Sejun's effort, Theo found the churu with green onion delicious. It tastes good since I haven't had it in a while. Kyung. That's right, it's tasty. Sejun also ate the roasted green onion with kyungi, enjoying the meal while looking around. The 66th floor of the tower was nothing more than a black plain, completely barren, with an unsettlingly mushy ground beneath them. Additionally, the distinctively fishy stench of poison, mixed with a putrid rot, constantly assailed them with an almost hostile presence, threatening to invade with every breath. You have inhaled a lethal S-rank poison. Due to the effects of the S-rank detoxifying green onion, you are not poisoned. Of course, it had no effect on Sejun and his companions. After everyone had eaten 5 S-rank, detoxifying green onions and gained resistance to poisons below S-rank for 5 hours. Plop. Sejun stepped out of the void storage and planted an S-rank detoxifying green onion in the ground. You have transplanted a detoxifying green onion into highly toxic soil. The roots of the detoxifying green onion suffer severe damage. Your proficiency of transplanting LV5 has slightly increased. At least it can be planted. According to Veronica, S-rank green onions would die immediately when planted here. But thanks to Sejun's superior farming skills, the detoxifying green onion didn't perish right away. That didn't mean it was a complete success, though. Within 10 minutes of being planted, the detoxifying green onion's leaves turned yellow and withered away. It seemed that a single S-rank detoxifying green onion was not enough to purify the overwhelming amount of poison in the ground. Then how about this one? Plub. This time, Sejun planted an SS-rank detoxifying green onion, something he usually saved and only used when eating delicious food. As soon as it was planted, the SS-rank detoxifying green onion began absorbing the surrounding toxic energy, and within moments, the poison in a 10-meter radius visibly disappeared. As expected of an SS-rank green onion, Sejun planted 1 SS-rank green onion at the center, and then, "Guys, help me plant more green onions." Pew Hut got it, meow. Kyung. Kaying. Along with his companions, he expanded their purified area by planting multiple S-rank green onions around the SS-rank 1. It would have been ideal to plant only SS-rank detoxifying green onions, but Sejun only had about 1,000 of them. The crops he harvested followed the rank of his tower farmer status, meaning that even if he planted SS-rank green onion seeds, they would only yield S-rank green onions, not SS-rank. Occasionally, the harvesting skill produced crops of a rank higher than usual, allowing him to obtain SS-rank green onions, but that only happened about once every 10 days. The rest were increased using the Pouch of Abundance crafted with utmost sincerity, a divine relic given to him by Li. Plop, you have uprooted a detoxifying green onion. Your proficiency of transplanting LV5 has slightly increased. Due to the effect of transplanting LV5, the roots have not been damaged. Due to the effect of transplanting LV5, the detoxifying green onion will maintain its condition for 5 hours. Once the area was stabilized, Sejun relocated the SS-rank detoxifying green onion from the center to another spot. As they steadily expanded their territory and managed to purify about 10% of the 66th floor of the tower, the poison began resisting. From the outermost edges of their purified zone, Black liquid started gushing out, rapidly withering the S-rank detoxifying green onions upon contact. I won't lose. Guys, plant even more. Sejun ordered his companions to counter the poison's assault by densely planting S-rank, detoxifying green onions in a sheer numbers strategy. At the same time, he deployed 100 of the 500 SS-rank detoxifying green onions he had kept in reserve, quickly stabilizing the situation. On top of that, detoxifying green onion that suppressed deadly poison. The SS-rank detoxifying green onions that had absorbed a massive amount of poison evolved, increasing their detoxification capabilities. Thanks to these detoxifying green onions that suppressed deadly poison, the purification process accelerated, and by evening, they had managed to cleanse half of the 66th floor. I'll take care of the rest tomorrow. Sejun moved the SS-rank detoxifying green onions planted in the rear to the front lines, and then leisurely prepared dinner. A little while later, tonight's dish is stir-fried locust stew. After preparing food for Theo and Blackie, Sejun placed the bright red, seasoned stew on the table. Kyung, it looks delicious. Kyungi cheered, throwing his paws up in excitement. Heh, the joy of watching Kyungi's reactions is what makes cooking fun. Sejun, smiling contentedly as he watched Kyungi eagerly enjoy his cooking, scooped some stew onto his own plate. As everyone enjoyed their meal. Pew hut, as expected, Chairman Park's grilled fish is delicioso meow. Theo, who had been savoring a piece of grilled fish, suddenly jumped and swatted an object flying toward Sejun's head with his front paw. Why is a green onion here? Sejun, reacting a beat too late, glanced at the object Theo had deflected, and then turned to look at the area where the green onions were planted. And then, plop plop, he saw black, poison-formed hands yanking out green onions and tossing them away. TSSSSK. The poison quickly dissipated upon contact with the green onions, but the black hands, maintaining their form with an even greater concentration of poison, continued their actions. The areas where the green onions had been uprooted were rapidly reclaimed by the poison. I worked so hard to purify this place. Watching the scene filled Sejun with rage. At the same time, he realized that the poison he was detoxifying was not just ordinary poison. No normal poison could form hands and pull out green onions. At that moment's title, one who has gazed upon the primordial for a long time identifies the opponent's true nature. A faint golden hue flickered in Sejun's eyes, allowing him to grasp the exact nature of his enemy. A hand imbued with the will of Nekma, the poison of slaughter, an embodiment of malice formed from countless toxins. Nekma, the poison of slaughter. So it has a will of its own. Nekma, you bastard. Not even a dog disrupts someone while they're eating. Realizing that Nekma had deliberately interrupted their meal, Sejun began to seethe with genuine fury. Hack, Great Hybrid Chairman Park said that you must never disturb someone while they're eating meow. Kyungi is angry because his meal was interrupted. Kaying, did you dare to interrupt the Great Blackie's mealtime? Following Sejun's lead, Theo, Kyungi, and the Blackie family all erupted in rage. Sejun's entire family was filled with those who took their meals seriously. Guys, let's show them our wrath. Meow. Kyung. Kaying. Fueled by their anger, Sejun and his companions suppressed their hunger and started catching the uprooted SS-rank detoxifying green onions midair, replanting them to push back the toxic energy. Sejun also deployed the remaining 400 of his reserved SS-rank detoxifying green onions, going all in. Thanks to this, all 1,000 SS-rank detoxifying green onions he had grew into detoxifying green onions that suppressed deadly poison, further enhancing their detoxification power and making them taste even better. 3 hours later. Found you, Nekma, the poison of slaughter, malice formed from countless poisons. Sejun finally came face to face with Nekma, a colossal demonic figure born from poisonous energy. How dare you interfere with me? Die. The moment Nekma saw Sejun, it charged at him without hesitation. Hey, do I look like the easiest target here? Sejun was instantly irritated. Crunch, crunch. You have consumed a detoxifying green onion that suppressed deadly poison. For 1 hour, you are immune to all poisons below SSS rank. After eating the green onion, Sejun prepared to fight Nekma. Tastes good. With its enhanced detoxification power, the green onion had also become even more flavorful. Lick. As Sejun licked the remaining green onion juice off his lips. Hu up. Kyungi took a deep breath and inhaled sharply toward Nekma. Nekma fiercely resisted, but in the end, it was sucked straight into Kyungi's mouth, completely and effortlessly. Kyungi, that's dirty, spit it out right now. Panicked, Sejun shook Kyungi and shouted. Gulp. Kyungi deliberately swallowed it. And then, Kyuehe Kyung. Hehe, Kyungi protected Dad. Kyungi proudly placed his front paws on his waist, puffed out his belly slightly, and beamed with a bright, triumphant smile. Kyungi, are you really okay? Kyung. Kyungi nodded energetically in response to Sejun's question. Now that I think about it, Kyungi has never had any problems no matter what he eats. Sejun suddenly felt confident that Kyungi would be fine. Just in case, let's eat a few of these. Sejun fed Kyungi some detoxifying green onions that suppressed deadly poison, just to be safe. A short while later, burp. As Kyungi was eating his warmed-up locust stir-fry stew, he let out a small burp. Advanced herbalist Park Kyungi has defeated Nekma, the poison of slaughter, malice formed from countless poisons. You have gained 100 billion experience points. 50% of the experience points advanced herbalist Park Kyungi acquired. Nekma was completely eradicated. Purple Tower Administrator's Area. You have exceeded the required purification of more than 50% of the Purple Tower's poison, a condition for the growth of the Great Purple Tower. All 8 conditions for the Great Purple Tower's growth have been met. The Purple Tower has begun its transformation into the Great Purple Tower. The Purple Tower had started evolving into the Great Purple Tower. And, as expected of our Sejun really fast. Tyr was amazed at Sejun's speed in accomplishing tasks. However, this was a misunderstanding on Tyr's part. Originally, it wasn't yet time for the Purple Tower to evolve into the Great Purple Tower. Out of the 8 required conditions, only 6 had been fulfilled. However, while Sejun was purifying Nekma's poison on the 66th floor of the tower, take this nutritional supplement and grow into a world tree quickly. Flamey, the world tree maker, who always supported Sejun, had secretly grown 3 world trees inside the Purple Tower, fulfilling the condition for raising world trees beyond the required amount. Puhuhut Choba, you need to receive the seal meow. Yes. Thus, thanks to this, Theo stamped the Great Purple Tower's legendary merchant, Choba, and once again increased the number of impeachment votes against the system. Chapter 617, Ramter Nim, Are You Angry Meow? Morning on the 99th floor of the Black Tower. I'm a complete rich man now. Opening his eyes, Sejun recalled the rewards he had received from Tyr yesterday and grinned widely. Just thinking about the upfront payment and success fee combined, 4 trillion tower coins, 40 liters of dragon blood, 20,000 scales and 4 kilograms of claws filled his heart with satisfaction. All right, time to get to work. Thanks to this, Sejun got up with more energy than usual. Meow-kaying. After taking care of Theo and Blackie, he began his daily routine. Starting with a walk around the farm. Doesn't he ever get tired? While strolling, Sejun commented as he watched Sejun number 3 diligently swinging a sword again today. A swordsmanship that showed no growth despite the sheer amount of training. Feeling sorry for Sejun number 3, who seemed to have inherited his lack of talent, Sejun couldn't help but feel a bit guilty. after passing by Sejun number 3 and continuing his walk. Kyung, Dad, did you sleep well? Kyungi woke up and came to find Sejun. Yeah, did you sleep well too, Kyungi? Sejun carried Kyungi, who clung to him on his side, and headed to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. A little while later, after breakfast, Pew Hut, Chairman Park, I will go earn lots of money, meow. Kyungi will gather lots of herbs too. All right, have a good day. After sending Theo and Kyungi off to work, Sejun finished the rest of the farm tasks. You're a field master has been activated. You have planted a destruction pioneer seed in the body of Delia, the demon of corruption, and 8th seat apostle of destruction. Afterward, he stopped by the 10th floor of the tower and planted the accumulated destruction pioneer seeds and destruction devourer seeds. Kilahit Kaying. The great boss Blackie has arrived. Meanwhile, Blackie was busy playing boss. Kaying. Have you ever eaten green onions? They're insanely spicy, but the great boss Blackie ate 5 of them. Kaya. Kiki. Blackie proudly boasted to his subordinates about his achievement of eating 5 green onions. While Blackie was bragging to his underlings, you have defeated Delia, the demon of corruption and 8th seat apostle of destruction. You have gained 4.7 trillion experience points. You have leveled up. You have obtained 1 bonus stat point. Strength has increased by 30. Strength potential has increased by 1%. As Sejun planted the seed, Delia's body disappeared, and the level up message appeared 4 times in a row. Hehe, nice, I'm level 166 now. Sejun grinned at the message. Now only 2 remain. The remaining bodies of the Apostles of Destruction were the Kraken on the 2nd floor and Leviathan on the 3rd floor of the tower. Blackie, I'm going to the 3rd floor of the tower for a bit. He needed to bring Leviathan's body down to the 1st floor. As soon as Sejun told Blackie, Kaying. No, I'm coming too. Blackie immediately decided to tag along. A little while later. After eating the bean set, Sejun's strength was boosted 16 times, allowing him to load Leviathan's body into the void storage. Kaying. Our butler is doing great, keep it up. Blackie, nestled in his sling bag, cheered Sejun on with his mouth. Kaying. Butler cheering made me hungry. Give me roasted and dried sweet potato. He boldly demanded food. Hey, if you're just going to make noise with your mouth, why did you come along? Sejun gave Blackie a glare while sneakily putting dried, roasted sweet potato in his mouth. Kivihit. Chomp. While Blackie happily munched on the sweet potato, Sejun transported Leviathan's body to the 1st floor. And then, Kivihit Kaying. Where was I in my story earlier? Kaya. Kiki. Blackie excitedly resumed boasting to his underlings about his achievements. Thud. Meanwhile, Sejun continued planting the remaining seeds. 27th floor of the Red Tower. Pew Hut, then let's start the auction, meow. As Theo began the auction for the merchants and Grima tribe hunters gathered on the 27th floor of the tower. Kong. Fist-sized beanworms cheered excitedly. These were Grima tribe hunters from the 3rd level world Grima. To protect their soft bodies, they used a unique combat technique, carrying sturdy yet flexible folding armor on their backs and curling up to defend themselves. Letter 1034 to letter 1F00, and letter 1ED9 E umlaut letter 1E61. And then, Pew Hut, today's item for sale is chestnut burrs, meow. Kong. The hunters grew excited at Theo's words. The chestnut burrs Theo sold were lightweight yet sturdy, making them a recent favorite among the Grima tribe hunters. A short while later, Pew Hut sold out, meow. Once again, Theo had completely emptied the hunters' wallets. Pew Hut, now the next crops for sale. Continuing on, he swept up the merchants' money as well with Sejun's other crops. Pew hut, now it's snack time, meow. Just as Theo, with a bright expression, was about to take out some churu from his bag. Ahem, greetings. Black Tower's legendary merchant Park Theonim. I am Brings, the legendary merchant of the Red Tower. Brings, a flame leopard with beautiful yellow spots on his magnificent red fur that looked like flames, spoke to Theo in a polite voice. Pew hut, Brings, what is it, meow? Do you want to become Vice Chairman Theo's subordinate, meow? Pew hut. For the legendary merchant of the Red Tower to come to me personally, Sejun Company's reputation must have spread all the way here, meow. This is great, meow. Theo took out his seal while thinking whatever he wanted. What? He's asking if I want to be his subordinate. Bring's eyebrows slightly furrowed inward at Theo's words, displeased. However, he made sure not to show it. He couldn't give his opponent any justification. Park Theo, the legendary merchant of the Black Tower. Another name he was known by, Slave Hunter. There was no one who had ever confronted Theo and not ended up stamped as a slave. On top of that, Brings hadn't come with good intentions, so he had to be even more careful. Hoo, that won't be happening. I still have many things I wish to accomplish on my own. Brings shook his head leisurely with a chuckle. Meow, then what is it, meow? Theo asked with a slightly disappointed look. I'm here because I'm concerned about you taking too much of the Red Tower's money. If you keep taking so much, the great red dragon might grow angry. Brings spoke as if he was genuinely worried about Theo. In truth, it simply irked him that Theo was sweeping away the Red Tower's wealth. However, there was something Brings hadn't accounted for. Meow, would Ramturnam get angry over this too? Ramturnam, are you angry, meow? What? Who is Ramturnam? Theo was someone who could communicate directly with Ramtur. The administrator of the Red Tower asks why they would be angry. Meow, if Vice Chairman Theo takes a lot of the Red Tower's money, wouldn't Ramturnam be angry, meow? The administrator of the Red Tower says that the money will end up with Sejun anyway, so why would they be angry over a little bit of money? The administrator of the Red Tower tells you to ask for whatever you need. On top of that, Pew hut, Ramturnam, then I, Vice Chairman Theo, want to stamp the legendary merchant of the Red Tower, meow. Theo, being Sejun's right-hand man, was someone who could even make demands of the mighty dragons without hesitation. The administrator of the Red Tower says to stamp him as you please. Pew hut, Brings, Ramturnam has granted permission to stamp you, meow. Come here and receive the stamp, meow. What? What kind of ridiculous nonsense is this? As Theo suddenly threw out his statement, Brings was completely flustered. The administrator of the Red Tower tells you to hurry up and receive Theo's stamp. It was the first time in his life that Brings had received a direct message from the administrator of the Red Tower. Normally, such a moment would be considered an honor for his family. But today was not that day. Yes, Brings resigned himself to his fate and quietly presented his backside. Living in the Red Tower, he could not go against the orders of the great red dragon. And then, Pew hut. One more vote for system impeachment, meow. Press. With a bright smile, Theo stamped Brings' backside. Earthworm. As Sejun entered through the dimensional gate. Slosh. 15 drops of destruction's tears, which had been still, transformed into Sejun's appearance and, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Sejun greeted the 15 destruction Sejuns. Meanwhile, Tui, the destruction devourers, now ready to spit out seeds, released them into the hands of the destruction Sejuns. Plop. As if it were the most natural thing, the 15 destruction Sejuns accepted the seeds and began planting them into the ground. And you gathered them here. Sejun collected the 10 tier of the incomplete creator god, left behind by the 10 previous destruction Sejuns who had disappeared. Here you go. Sejun immediately sent the collected tiers to Amila. You have completed the quest 10 times. As a reward for completing the quest, you have obtained 50 drops of the Great Growth Elixir. He received a glass bottle, half filled with a liquid that emitted a soft red glow. 2 drops each for Theo, Kyungi, Peacebees, and the Blackie family. And 20 drops for me. Haha, since the first digit is the same. This is perfectly fair. Feeling a slight pang of guilt, Sejun muttered as if justifying himself. Gulp. And swallowed 20 drops of the Great Growth Elixir. You have consumed 20 drops of the Great Growth Elixir. You have gained 200 million experience points. Your lowest stat, agility, has increased by 2,000. Your proficiency of Farmer's Warm Touch LV, 8 has increased. Although his skill proficiency increased 20 times, unfortunately, none of his skills leveled up. All right, time to get to work. Sejun, alongside the Destruction Sejuns, planted more Destruction Devourer seeds. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, guys, yesterday, your great boss Blackie ate something called green onions, and they were super spicy. Blackie gathered the Destruction Devourers to boast about his achievement of eating green onions. Kaying. But the great boss Blackie ate 5 green onions in one go. Thinking that simply eating 5 separately might sound weak, he exaggerated, claiming he ate them all at once. Western Herb Field on the 99th floor of the Black Tower. Qarg. Boom. Pink Fur was tearing out rocks and tree roots that obstructed Kyungi's herb field expansion and smashing them into dust with her front paws. At that moment, Grrrr rule. Grrrr rule. Kyungi's and Pink Fur's stomachs simultaneously sounded the lunch alarm. Kyung. Mom, it's time for lunch. Kyungi, who had been tending to the herb field, hurried over to Pink Fur and began unpacking the lunchbox that Sejun had prepared. Kyung. Heh, Mom, eat well. Kyungi sat between Pink Fur's legs and started eating, while Pink Fur used her body to shade Kyungi's head from the sun as she enjoyed Sejun's food. At that moment, Pink Fur's eyes caught sight of a single black strand of fur on Kyungi's head. Upon seeing it, Pink Fur was overwhelmed with sadness. Has the time finally come to let go? Silently, she began preparing her heart. Kyung. Heh, Dad's cooking is the best. Completely oblivious to Pink Fur's feelings, Kyungi happily devoured his lunch. As Pink Fur watched Kyungi mention Sejun, a brief surge of jealousy arose within her. But this is Sejunum's fault. Just like the flow of nature, it's simply time to let Kyungi go. She quietly calmed her emotions. She thought that would make it easier. But, Kyuhuhu, time. Are you really going to just hand over your son, Kyungi, to that guy Sejun without a fight? A sticky voice whispered to her, and her heart wavered violently, like a boat caught in a raging storm. He's not being taken away. Just like there's a beginning, there's an end. It's just time to let Kyungi go. Pink Fur forced herself to regain her composure. But deep down, she knew those were just excuses, not her true feelings, and with every word she wounded her own heart. Can really let Kyungi go that easily? Ah, I see. It's because Kyungi isn't really your son, isn't it? The voice sneered, digging deeper into her pain. No, not even once have I ever thought that Kyungi wasn't my son. Pink Fur desperately denied the voice's words, but her pupils slowly began to take on a red hue. Kyuhuhu, is that really true? If you truly saw Kyungi as your child, then why are you so willing to give him up? In the end, you never truly. Kyarg. That's not true. Enraged by the voice's provocation, Pink Fur let out a deafening roar. Her eyes had turned as red as blood. And then, Kyung. A single black strand of fur on Kyungi's head, which had been singed while playing with fire, was carried away by the wind and disappeared. Chapter 618. Just tell Kyungi that you love him. The now destroyed level 9 world Beatrice. Pink Fur was the sole survivor of Beatrice. No, to be precise, there were 2 of them until they entered the tower, but in the end, Pink Fur was left alone. Just before Beatrice was destroyed, Pink Fur had entered the tower with her son. Pink Fur and her son both had suffered fatal injuries and barely managed to enter the tower, but Mom. Her son did not last long and passed away first, while Pinkfur survived due to her tenacious vitality. The destruction of the world she lived in and the death of her child. Having lost everything she loved, Pinkfur could not accept this cruel reality. So she decided not to acknowledge that her child had died. She did not want to be alone. And my son can recover if he gets treated. Clutching the cold, lifeless body of her child dearly in her arms, she wandered aimlessly through the tower. One day, while frantically searching the tower for an unattainable cure, something happened. As she looked down at her son's corpse, now broken beyond recognition, the fragile thread holding her sanity together snapped. Kyuwarng. Pinkfur refused to eat or drink and cried for days. There was no longer a reason to live. And then, why is she crying so sorrowfully? Is losing a child that painful? The beast of Apocalypse watched Pinkfur with interest. It was purely by chance and curiosity. The beast of Apocalypse had noticed Pinkfur carrying around her dead child's corpse. Why is she carrying that? Curiosity was piqued. The beast of Apocalypse was a being that awaited the end of worlds. It had an abundance of time, more than it could ever use. Because of that, it was always bored, always idle, always languid, and never interested in anything. But now, for the first time in thousands of years, a curiosity had stirred within it. And that curiosity was too precious to ignore. To satisfy that curiosity, it began following Pinkfur. If she is grieving this much, just how deeply must she have loved her child? Its curiosity deepened. And after days of watching Pinkfur sob her heart out, the beast of Apocalypse developed a desire. I want to be loved like that too. I want to live as that bear's child. A desire stronger than mere curiosity. It was a desire unbefitting of the beast of Apocalypse, but dreaming of the unattainable is the fate of all beings. Driven by its yearning to experience love, the beast of Apocalypse read Pinkfur, memories and then Kyuung. Sealing away its own power and mind, it transformed into Pinkfur's son. It did not matter if Pinkfur rejected him and killed him for not being her real child. The only consequence would be that the world's end would arrive about 1,000,000 years sooner. Letter 211D, letter 1D622, Eng, letter 1ED5, letter 1D401, open at execute. My son. When the dark crimson liquid suddenly took the form of her deceased son, Pinkfur was utterly bewildered. But then, my son, you're healthy again. She quickly embraced the beast of Apocalypse, now in the form of her child, as her own. She knew he was not truly her son, but she still wanted to believe. She did not want to be alone, and she wanted to give to this being all the love and care she had been unable to give her deceased child. And so Kyungi grew up as Pinkfur's son, receiving abundant love and living a happy life. Even when a great famine struck the tower and food was scarce, Pinkfur managed to find whatever she could for Kyungi to eat. Tree bark fire ants. Thanks to that, Kyungi never went hungry. At night, they would share the warmth of their fluffy fur, exchanging meaningless stories of their day until they laughed so hard their bellies ached before drifting off to sleep. Then one day they encountered Sejun, who had been stranded on the 99th floor of the tower. With his presence, food became plentiful and their happiness grew. Kyungi considered Sejun his father, but Pinkfur did not think much of it at first. Not until Kyungi began effortlessly imitating Sejun's abilities. That was when Pinkfur started to worry. What if, one day, Kyungi no longer resembled her but instead took after Sejun? She began to feel that her happy dream was coming to an end. As a mother, she wanted to send Kyungi off properly. Pinkfur's mind slowly began sinking into the abyss. Black Tower, 99th floor. Hehe, off work. Sejun stepped out of the dimensional portal with the Blackie family. Kaying. Butler, since we worked hard today, let's eat some roasted and dried sweet potato. We? What do you mean we? I did all the work while you just went around bragging. When have you ever eaten 5 green onions at once? Kaying. Butler is stupid. Sulking at Sejun's words, Blackie hid inside the sling bag. Just then, Pew Hut, Chairman Park, I have returned, meow. Theo popped out of his bag and shouted. And then, get off. Meow. He clung to Sejun's face with light speed meow step, but was grabbed by the scruff of his neck and placed on Sejun's lap. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, today, thanks to Ramternum's help, I managed to stamp Brings, the legendary merchant of the Red Tower, making him my subordinate, meow. And also money. As Theo was boasting about his achievements for the day. Quaying. A deafening explosion shook the ground. What was that? I don't know, meow. Sejun and Theo turned toward the direction of the sound. Kaying. What's going on? Even Blackie, who had been pretending to sulk, jolted in surprise and raised his head. Kyung. Moo. Moo. The sounds of Pinkfur, Kyungi, and the Black Minotaurs followed. Something was wrong. Let's go. Pew Hut understood, meow. Kaying. Sejun hurriedly ran toward the source of the disturbance. And then, what in the? Sejun witnessed a horrifying scene. Kyung. Kyung. Mom, calm down. Moo. Pinkfur, get a hold of yourself. A massive Kyungi and the Minotaur King, both covered in wounds, were struggling to pin down Pinkfur. The Minotaur King pressed down on her hind legs with his knees while holding each of her front paws, barely restraining her. Meanwhile, the other black Minotaurs surrounded her, prepared for the worst. Why Pinkfur? Sejun couldn't comprehend the situation. Then, that. Through Pinkfur's large, red-stained eyes, Sejun saw it, a dark, ominous energy lurking behind them. It was the same thing he had seen in Blackie's mental world. Corruption. How did corruption? Sejun didn't know, but a fragment of corruption's will had escaped from the world's energy he possessed, searching for a host to parasitize. It had found Pinkfur. Just as Sejun realized this, corruption also noticed Sejun. Kyurung. A red aura surged from Pinkfur, and she slowly began to move. Kyung. Moo. Even with Kyungi and the Minotaur King's strength, it wasn't enough to hold her down. This is bad. Sejun instinctively knew. Letting Pinkfur move was dangerous, but what was even worse was that if she completely succumbed to corruption, she would never return to being the real Pinkfur again. No matter what, this had to be stopped. Vice Chairman Theo, feed these to them. Sejun handed Theo a bean set and dashed toward Pinkfur. Understood, meow. Using light-speed meow step, Theo swiftly moved. Eat this, meow. And shoved the bean set into Kyungi's and the Minotaur King's mouths. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, mission accomplished, meow. Good job. Theo returned to Sejun's lap as Sejun rushed toward Pinkfur. Thanks to the buff, Kyungi and the Minotaur King, with their strength now multiplied by 16, managed to restrain Pinkfur once again. Guys were going into Pinkfur's mind. Sejun informed his companions and headbutted Pinkfur. But, thud, erg, wasn't this how it worked? Sejun had no idea how to enter someone's mental world. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, it's time for the great Blackie to step up for the worthless butler. Butler, follow me. Thud. Blackie headbutted Pinkfur and fainted. Follow him. Sejun headbutted Pinkfur again. Kyur. Gorarung. Sejun and Theo lost consciousness. And then, Kyung. Master Minotaur King, please take care of Mom. Moo. Understood. Kyungi pressed his forehead against Pinkfur's and fell unconscious as well. Pinkfur, mental world. Grrr, butler, stay close behind me. I'm not that weak. You're totally a sunfish. Pew Hut, Super Giant Chairman Park number 2, launching meow. Huh, there's a number 2 as well. Pew Hut, that's right, meow. Sejun and his companions conversed while approaching Pinkfur's mental world that emitted bright light. All I see is Kyungi. Sejun looked around and spoke. Kyungi eating, Kyungi sleeping, Kyungi yawning, and so on. As expected of a mother, Pink Fur's entire mental world was filled with nothing but Kyungis. And then, Pink Fur, wearing a sorrowful expression, was quietly stroking a small grave. But her body was not normal. Gulling gulling. Corruption had already taken over half of her body and was constantly whispering to her. No, that never happened. Each time corruption's words tore at Pink Fur's wounds, more of her body succumbed to it. We need to destroy corruption quickly. Guys, let's go. Seeing how dire Pink Fur's condition was, Sejun hurried toward her with his companions. But, he's here, Park Sejun is here, go kill him. No, Kyungi likes Sejun Nim, I can't harm him. Then are you just going to let Kyungi be taken from you? I don't want that. Kyungi really is your son. No, he's not. That was exactly what corruption wanted. Moreover, corruption had grown stronger by parasitizing Pink Fur's mind, making it immune even to the primordial power imbued in Sejun's gaze. Pink Fur, snap out of it. Snap out of it, meow. Grrr, Pink Fur, think about how sad Kyungi will be. If you go any further, this will really be the end. Sejun and his companions desperately called out to Pink Fur, who was being swallowed by corruption. But, just leave me alone. Pink Fur's condition only worsened. Rumble. The Kyungis that had been standing idly around suddenly shattered, and skeletal bears rose from their remains. And then, I have to stop this myself. Blackie, hold off the enemies. Vice Chairman Theo, let's go. Understood, meow. Sejun, riding Theo and Super Giant Chairman Park No. 2, rushed toward Pink Fur. If his gaze couldn't purify corruption, he decided to make direct contact instead. Since merely looking at it had an effect, touching it directly should deal even more damage. As Sejun closed in, "Don't come near me." Pink Fur swung her front paw to attack Sejun. Boom! Super Giant Chairman Park No. 2 blocked the attack and firmly grabbed Pink Fur's front paw. Clicking. Got it. In that moment, Sejun placed his hand on the part of Pink Fur's body infected by corruption. But, it had no effect. Contrary to his expectations, touching corruption did nothing. Kekekek, how foolish. Instead, corruption began crawling up Sejun's arm, trying to consume his body. Don't you dare touch Chairman Park, meow. Theo quickly struck corruption with his front paw. A mere cat who can't do anything alone. Corruption, enraged, tried to exploit Theo's trauma. But, Hut, that's right, meow. I Vice Chairman Theo am nothing without Chairman Park, meow. Theo coolly accepted his trauma, making corruption's attack completely ineffective. Vice Chairman Theo, let's just tear it off. Hut, understood, meow. Sejun and Theo forcibly grabbed corruption and tried to rip it away from Pink Fur's body. Let go of me. Corruption struggled violently. Boom. Grrr, Butler must not get hurt, understood. Yes. Meanwhile, the Blackie family held off the approaching skeletal bears while keeping an eye on Sejun's condition. As the chaotic battle raged on. Rumble. Suddenly, the surroundings darkened, and an overwhelming pressure filled the air, making it hard to breathe. Sejun, the weakest mentally, instantly lost consciousness and was forcibly expelled into his own mental world. And then, Kyungi is angry. Thud, thud. A massive Kyungi appeared, exuding a blackish-red aura. This time, even the beast of apocalypse did not hold back and lent its power to Kyungi. That bear is not your real mother, don't you understand? Corruption spoke to Kyungi, trying to provoke Pink Fur. Pink Fur's resistance had grown stronger ever since Kyungi appeared. However, Kyungi's real mom is the one right here, and Kyungi cannot forgive you for making mom cry. That only shortened corruption's lifespan. Boom! The moment Kyungi's fist touched corruption, It vanished as if it had never existed. That was the power of the beast of apocalypse. And then, Kyungi, I'm sorry. The truth is, you are actually mine. Pink Fur tried to reveal the truth she had kept in her heart all this time. But that's not important. Just tell Kyungi that you love him. Kyungi shook his head and cut off Pink Fur's words. Sniff Kyungi, mom is Sniff, my only mom. Sniff Kyungi is the same Sniff, crimson giant bear like mom Sniff, Kyungi Sniff, cannot live without mom. He threw himself into Pink Fur's arms and started crying. Yes, mom loves Kyungi too, and I'm sorry. Pink Fur, also shedding tears, tightly embraced Kyungi and gently patted his back. When she thought about it, what did it matter if Kyungi resembled her or Sejun? He would still be her son no matter what. GRRR, should we get going now? Blackie and his subordinates disappeared, leaving only Pink Fur and Kyungi together. Ho ho ho. Hazeli. For a long time the two couldn't stop laughing, and they truly became mother and son, an unbreakable bond. Like that, Pink Fur returned to reality. Kyung. Mom, look at this. Kyungi can make fire really well. Whoosh. Kyung. It was only then that she realized the black fur on Kyungi's head had been singed by the flames. Kyung. Son, no fire for a week. Kyung. Kyungi was now banned from using fire for an entire week. Chapter 619. Haha. Then it's okay for Dad to be weak. Black Tower, 99th floor. Guys, good morning. Meow. Kaying. As Sejun gathered his companions and stepped outside. Kurorong. Pink Fur quietly appeared, holding the still sleeping Kyungi in her mouth. Pink Fur, good morning. Kyung. Sejun Nim, keep your voice down. You'll wake up our Kyungi. And good morning to you too, Sejun Nim. At Sejun's energetic morning greeting, Pink Fur hushed him while responding. And then, Kyung. Sejun Nim hears Kyungi. Do. Pink Fur very confidently entrusted Kyungi to Sejun. Not that she wasn't confident before, but today she seemed even more so. After handing over Kyungi, Pink Fur moved on, not towards the west where their home was, but north, where the Minotaur King was. Is she going to confront him about getting hit during the Minotaur King's attempt to subdue her yesterday? Pink Fur, where are you going? Worried that the two might end up fighting, Sejun hurriedly asked. But such petty concerns were only something Sejun would have. Kyung. A strong body harbors a strong mind. I'm going to train my stamina under the Minotaur King and become stronger. I want to be a mother that our Kyungi won't be ashamed of. Letter 1 D42B, letter 1 F00 Nu, Iagonek S retroflex. Pink Fur was determined to undergo special training under the Minotaur King and grow stronger. As Pink Fur left for the north, mothers are truly strong. Sejun was moved by Pink Fur's deep maternal love. Then it's okay for Dad to be weak. If Pink Fur found out, he'd be in for a smack on the back. Right, Kyungi, it's okay for Dad to be weak, isn't it? Bup. Sejun playfully blew raspberries on the sleeping Kyungi's belly. Kyung. Dad, good morning. Kyungi woke up slowly, smiling brightly. Perhaps due to the emotional change from yesterday's experience with Pink Fur, Kyungi's smile was radiant. And then, did our Kyungi sleep well? Sejun, seeing Kyungi's sunshine-like smile, felt his mood lift as well. Of course, Sejun had no idea that Kyungi had entered Pink Fur's mental world yesterday. He had passed out and gotten kicked out before realizing anything. Kyung. Dad, do the raspberry again. Kyungi is still sleepy. Kyungi closed his eyes again, requesting another raspberry. All right, bup. Sejun once again buried his face in Kyungi's belly and blew raspberries. As Sejun played with Kyungi. Meow, Great Hybrid Chairman Park. Why are you blowing raspberries without including me, Vice Chairman Theo? Kaying. Butler, you're mean. Do it for me too, quickly. Having just woken up, Theo and Blackie complained as they stuck out their bellies. So, Sejun gave them raspberries too. Thus, another peaceful morning passed. While Sejun was cooking in the kitchen, Puhuhut, Kuhiha, Kivihit. The companions sat quietly at the table, inhaling the mouth-watering aroma of the delicious food they would soon eat. Then, Kyungi, light this fire for me. As Sejun needed another brazier, he asked Kyungi for help. Kyung. Kyungi can't use fire. Mom banned me from using fire for a week. Kyungi replied in a gloomy voice. Huh, why? Kyung. Don't know. Mom said not to use it. Really? By the way, Kyungi, who do you like more, mom or dad? Sejun, feeling playful, suddenly hit Kyungi with a surprise question. Kyungi loves both mom and dad. Kyungi answered without hesitation. Awa, come on. But surely there's one you like just a little more. I won't tell mom, so just tell dad. Since Sejun wasn't looking for a textbook answer, he coaxed Kyungi. Clearly, despite Kyungi purging corruption yesterday, there was still some corruption here too. At that moment, meow, Chairman Park, my grilled fish is burning, meow. Theo, catching the smell of his burning grilled fish, shouted in a panic. Oh no! Sejun snapped back to his senses and resumed cooking. Naturally, the burnt grilled fish became his portion. After finishing breakfast, Sejun took his companions to work on the farm. And then, Puhuhut, it's nice not going to work today and spending time with Chairman Park, meow. Kueha Kyung. Haha, Kyungi thinks so too. Having gone through a rough day yesterday, Theo and Kyungi were working remotely today. Kilahit Kaying. Being with my Hyungs makes the great Blackie happy too. Thanks to that, Blackie was also in high spirits for no reason. After finishing up the farm work with his companions, summon door. Sejun summoned a door leading to the 10th tower. Clang. He opened the door and stepped inside, arriving at the 10th tower. As soon as Blackie family arrived. Kilahit Kaying. Guys, yesterday, our butler acted like such a fool. He gathered his subordinates and began boasting about his achievements, how he had taken Sejun into Pink Fur's mental world and protected him. And then you're a field master, has been activated. You have planted a destruction pioneer seed in the body of Leviathan, the serpent that summons tsunamis and 12th seed of the apostles of destruction. Sejun planted a seed in Leviathan's body. A few hours later. Let's go home and eat. After finishing the planting, Sejun spoke to his companions. Puhuhut sounds great, meow. Kyung. Theo and Kyungi were delighted by Sejun's words. Kilahit Kaying. Butler, let's go eat quickly. Blackie excitedly wagged his tail and ran over, but why shouldn't the great Blackie stay here and keep badmouthing me? He had underestimated how petty Sejun could be. Kaying. Butler, you're so unfair. Blackie grumbled. But Blackie, the noble wolf who once made gods tremble in fear, the god-hunting wolf, never easily gave up on food. Watch this, witness my cuteness. Kaying. Butler, give me food, give me food. Blackie stood up on 2 legs and desperately waved his front paws, showing off his cuteness to Sejun. I'll let it slide just this once. Giving in to Blackie's cuteness, Sejun reluctantly put the Blackie family into his sling bag. And then, as expected of the great Blackie, Kurug, Sharalang, the great wolf Park Blackie, who moved Sejun Nim's heart. Blackie basked in the praises of his subordinates. When Sejun returned to the Black Tower, brother-in-law, Ace's dragon statue came looking for him. Baby brother-in-law, did you sleep well? Did you eat? We're about to have lunch. Want to join us? Puahiti, yes, I want to eat with you. Then wait a moment. Okay. After finishing his conversation with Ace, Sejun started cooking and asked, Aileen, is there anything you want to eat? The tower's administrator says she wants tteokbokki. Spicy, the tower's administrator says, of course. The tower's administrator declares that the essence of tea diakbaki is its spiciness. What puahata? Hearing a dragon talk about the essence of tea diakbaki caught Sejun completely off guard, making him burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, Aileen, I'll make instant tea diakbaki for you today. Sejun decided to introduce Aileen to a broader world of tea diakbaki. Aileen, wait a bit. After telling Aileen to wait, Sejun prepared the ingredients for instant tea diakbaki and fried some yongari chicken for Ace. A little while later, Aileen here. Sejun ladled some tea diakbaki into a bowl and handed it to Aileen while it was still simmering. Tea diakbaki is best enjoyed when shared like this. The tower's administrator exclaims excitedly that it is incredibly delicious. Really? That's good to hear. Let me know when you finish. I'll give you more. And we can stir-fry rice with this later too. Sejun spoke as if frying rice in the leftover sauce was something amazing. The tower administrator says to definitely stir-fry rice too. Hehe, got it. Tower's administrator complains that there aren't enough ramen noodles and asks for more. Okay. Kyungi had already torn open 10 packs of ramen even before being asked. Kyuiha. It seemed Kyungi really liked the ramen noodles and the instant tea diakbaki. As Theo ate his grilled fish, the Blackie family munched on roasted and dried sweet potatoes, and Ace enjoyed his yongari chicken. Sejun, Aileen, and Kyungi were happily eating the instant tea diakbaki. Brother-in-law, I want to try that too. Ace, betraying his yongari chicken, showed interest in the tea diakbaki. Sure. But my dear brother-in-law, you don't have to betray your yongari chicken. Tea diakbaki, like me, is generous and embraces everything. Sejun added yongari chicken to the tea diakbaki sauce, let it simmer, and then gave it to Ace. Puahiti, brother-in-law, it's delicious. Ace delightedly ate the chicken, now coated in tea diakbaki sauce. Alright, now I'll fry some rice. Sejun added rice and seaweed flakes to the nearly empty tea diakbaki pot, creating fried rice. The tower's administrator exclaims that it is incredibly delicious. Kyung. Dad, this is delicious too. Puahiti, brother-in-law, you're the best. Haha, eat as much as you like. The group ate as if they had just started their meal. After lunch, the tower's administrator says Ace should stop playing now and help me. Yes, brother-in-law, I have to go now. All right, go help your sister a lot. Ace was summoned away by Aileen. Slurp. Ah, Barista Ku, today's coffee tastes even better than usual. Is it a different variety? Kyuehe kyung kyung. Hehe, that's right. Chairman Park really knows his coffee. Today's coffee is a top-grade selection from across the sea. Sejun played along with the act as he sipped the coffee Kyungi brewed. Puhu hut. I Vice Chairman Theo know that sea very well, meow. There's an enormous ultra-giant fish there, and one day I'll definitely catch it and make grilled fish out of it, meow. Theo also joined the pretend play and added a spoonful of plot, but Kilahit Kaying. Hee, actually, the great Blackie has already eaten that ultra-giant fish. Before the plot could even develop, Blackie ended it abruptly. And then, Kula, Gororong, Kurorong, Kirorong. Sejun and his companions took a short afternoon nap. At that moment, Sejun, a quiet voice called out to him. Mukraiselanim. Waking up, Sejun saw the silver dragon statue and spoke. Yes, it's me. What brings you here? I heard that 2 days ago you upgraded the Purple Tower into the Great Purple Tower. Could you also upgrade our Silver Tower into the Great Silver Tower? When Sejun asked, Chrysella Hisron, the leader of the Great Silver Dragon clan, spoke in a desperate voice. Currently, only 3 towers remained that had not yet become great towers. It had become a battle for the lower rankings. If things went poorly, the Silver Dragons might end up at the bottom among the 9 dragon clans, so Chrysella had come to Sejun in secret, without informing the other dragons. Puhu hut, Then show your sincerity, meow. Woken by their conversation, Theo held out a plump pink jelly to Chrysella. Here it is. Chrysella handed over a prepared box. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, Chrysella's sincerity is sufficient, meow. After checking the contents of the box, Theo nodded in satisfaction. Chrysella, then please check the conditions required for upgrading the Silver Tower to a Great Tower and let me know. All right, give me a moment. Chrysella hurriedly checked the Silver Tower's administrator crystal and began writing down the conditions on paper. Kyung, Kaying. Meanwhile, Kyungi and Blackie woke up as well, curiously observing the situation. At that moment, Sejun. From afar, a golden dragon statue flew toward them. It was Artemis Yull, the leader of the great golden dragons. He had been hesitating about whether to approach Sejun or not, but upon spotting Chrysella by Sejun's side, he hurriedly flew over. At least Grave isn't here. It seemed he wouldn't be last place. Sejun, I also request the growth of the great golden tower. Here, take this. Artemis handed over a box. Pew Hut, Artemis' sincerity is sufficient, meow. Artemis, please check the conditions for the tower's growth and let me know as well. Understood. With that, Sejun received the request for the golden tower's growth, in addition to the silver tower. And then, when did you two get here? Grave, noticing Chrysella and Artemis beside Sejun, belatedly realized the situation and hurriedly flew over. Grave, you're late. Grave, you should have come sooner. Thus the Brown Tower's last place was confirmed, but Pew Hut, Grave, show your sincerity as well, meow. Theo boldly extended his front paw toward Grave. If you want to remain the only ordinary tower, you don't have to give anything. Sejun, standing beside him, added indifferently in a teasing tone. Chapter 620, Hehe, I don't negotiate with sunfish. Pew Hut, if the Golden Tower becomes a great tower, Yudo and Marine's votes will increase the vote count by 1 each, and if we also secure the legendary merchants of the Silver Tower and the Brown Tower. While Theo, who had received permission from Chrysella and Grave, to stamp the legendary merchants of the Silver Tower and Brown Tower if they succeeded in growing the Great Tower, was excitedly calculating impeachment votes. Sejun, this is the condition for our Silver Tower's Great Tower growth. Yes. Sejun checked the Great Silver Tower growth conditions on the paper Chrysella had given him. Great Silver Tower growth conditions, 1-8. Tower Farmer B, achieved. Creating more than 5 new crop varieties, not achieved, 0-1. Weakening the tower's wind by more than 50%, not achieved, 35%. Growing 3 world trees, not achieved, 1 pose/3. Securing more than 10,000 pieces of the world's energy, not achieved. Possessing 7 divine relics, not achieved, 0-7. Achieving 3 great feats, achieved, 2-3. Increasing the entrances to the Purple Tower to 120, not achieved, 85-120. Just 1. Out of 8 conditions, only 1 had been achieved. Moreover, most of the other conditions were barely progressed. A far worse situation than with the Great Purple Tower. The situation is really bad. Sejun candidly told Chrysella. Sejun, you're not thinking of giving up, are you? Chrysella worried that Sejun might abandon the request. However, come on, giving up, that word doesn't exist in my dictionary. Though Sejun was a sunfish, his persistence was strong. But I'll need more sincerity. He was also extremely money-minded. Pew Hut, Chrysella, show more sincerity, meow. Excited by Sejun's words, Theo also demanded money. Understood. Chrysella hurriedly prepared the money and handed it to Sejun. Haha, thank you, then let's start right away. Vice Chairman Theo, give me 8 divine relics. Sejun requested divine relics from Theo. Pew Hut, got it, meow. Gods, our great hybrid Chairman Park needs 8 divine relics, meow. Hurry up and hand them over, meow. Thus, Sejun's request was relayed through Theo via the full-time employee communication network. A priority emergency quest for 8 divine relics from Sejun Company's vice chairman, Park Theo, has been issued. Manager Seed Shop Headquarters, God of Battle Battler, Yuhaha, first place. Manager Hell's Pawnshop, God of Merchants, Hell, my first place. Manager Combat Shop Headquarters, God of Spears, Spy, third place. The priority emergency quest for 8 divine relics from Sejun Company's vice chairman, Park Theo, has been closed. The gods swiftly sent 8 divine relics to Theo. And Manager Seed Shop Headquarters, God of Sprouts, Bud, I failed again, Ko Inus. Bud failed once more today because he was distracted. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, here you go, meow. When Theo handed the 8 divine relics to Sejun. Chryselanim here. Sejun passed the 8 divine relics to Chrysela. Then, does this mean possessing 7 divine relics is overachieved? Nod. At Sejun's question, Chrysela nodded. Already. This easily. Artemis and Grave, who had been watching, were amazed at Sejun's capability. In such a short time, Sejun had overachieved one of the great tower growth conditions. Next, he looked at the paper and pondered, then said, "That's it for today, the rest will take some time." He dismissed the dragons. Then he headed toward the dimensional portal that connected to Earthworm. "Follow me in a bit." Sejun left his party behind and entered Earthworm first. "Hey guys, hello." He greeted the 3 newly arrived Destruction Sejuns. Only 7 of the previous Destruction Sejuns remained. The other 8 had turned into 8 drops of tears of the incomplete creator god. Kaya. One of the Destruction Devourers handed Sejun the 8 drops of tears it had been holding on its leaf. "Thanks, here you go." As soon as Sejun received the tears, he sent them to Amila. "You have completed the quest 8 times. You have obtained 40 drops of the Great Growth Elixir as a quest completion reward." He received the reward, adding 1 more drop to the 2 he had planned to give earlier. While Sejun was calculating the elixirs to feed his companions. "Pew Hut, Chairman Park, I missed you, meow." Kyung. Kaying. His companions crossed the dimensional portal and joined Sejun. "All right, Vice Chairman Theo, open your mouth first. The elixir is going in." Sejun tried to feed Theo the elixir first, but Pew Hut, the weak Chairman Park should drink it instead, meow. Theo refused, his expression clearly indicating he would not back down. It was vaguely no, just blatantly offensive. "I'll definitely make you drink it." Sejun, who got angry at being disrespected. "Haha, if you drink this, I'll extend your exclusive knee rights by a week." Could he refuse this offer? Sejun tempted Theo with his ultimate move. "Meow, hurry and give it to me, meow. My mouth is open, meow." Theo immediately gave in to the exclusive knee rights that no one else coveted and opened his mouth. "Haha, you were going to drink it anyway." Drip, drip, drip. With a victorious look, Sejun dropped 3 drops of the Great Growth Elixir into Theo's mouth. "Pew Hut, Chairman Park, then how long can I, Vice Chairman Theo, monopolize your knees now, meow?" Theo, having swallowed the elixir, asked Sejun. "Since I added another week, it's now 10 years, 8 months, and 24 days. Sejun calculated the period and gave an answer. Theo had been steadily accumulating his exclusive knee time, and the total had grown considerably. "Pew Hut, I'm so happy, meow." At Sejun's answer, Theo clung to Sejun's knees with a blissful expression. "All right, now it's Kyungi's turn." When Sejun turned to his next target. Kyung. "Kyungi is fine, Dad should drink it instead." Like a true filial child, Kyungi tried to yield the Great Growth Elixir to the weaker Sejun. Kyungi won't fall for it like Big Brother did. Having just seen Theo succumb to Sejun's trick, Kyungi steeled his resolve even more. "Dad has his own share to drink, so Kyungi, you should drink too." Sejun tried to persuade Kyungi again, but Kyung. No, even if Dad drinks 5,000 drops of the Great Growth Elixir, Kyungi is still way stronger, so Dad should drink it instead. Kyungi firmly refused, stating the biggest number he knew. It felt unfair somehow, but it was true, so Sejun had no rebuttal. Thankfully, the largest number Kyungi knew was only 5,000. If it were bigger, Sejun would have been even more hurt. Kyungi's strong resistance. It can't be helped. Then Kyungi, instead of the elixir, how about some honey? Kyungi. Hehe, sounds good. At Sejun's words, Kyungi happily ate the honey Sejun gave him. Kyungi ate honey, but why does it say Kyungi consumed the Great Growth Elixir? Hehe, I mixed the elixir into the honey. Kyungi unknowingly ingested the Great Growth Elixir along with the honey. Thus, Sejun successfully fed Theo and Kyungi the elixir. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, butler. The great Blackie demands 10 roasted and dried sweet potatoes before opening his mouth. Having watched his older brothers, Blackie tried to bargain, though in a rather strange way. However, hehe, I don't negotiate with sunfish. Kaying. Why only us? Sejun forcefully pried open the mouths of the Blackie family and fed them the Great Growth Elixir without any negotiation. After successfully feeding all his companions the elixir. Gulp. Sejun swallowed the remaining 25 drops himself. You have consumed 25 drops of the Great Growth Elixir. You have gained 250 million experience points. Your lowest stat strength has increased by 2,500. Your proficiency of Seed Shop LV 5 has increased. Your proficiency of Harvesting LV 9 has increased. Your proficiency of Harvesting LV 9 is maxed and the level has increased. You have mastered harvesting. This time, as the level of the harvesting skill increased, it finally reached the master level. Oh, it's at master level. The effect is. The master level effect of harvesting was that the harvested crops would have an increased grade effect, which would trigger every 1,000 times the same crop was harvested. With this, I should be able to get more than 10 SS grade crops a day, right? Hehe, the SS grade green onion was delicious, but what about other crops? Sejun was thrilled at the thought of eating SS grade crops. Kilahit Kaying. Hee SS grade. Next to him, Blackie was also excited at the thought of eating SS grade roasted and dried sweet potatoes. After finishing drinking the elixir. Summon Quinn. Sejun suddenly summoned Quinn, the tower farmer of the Silver Tower, summoning Quinn Beretta, honorary full-time employee of the Silver Tower. Sejun Nim hello. Quinn, who was suddenly summoned, greeted Sejun. Yeah, nice to see you. After greeting him, Sejun said, Here, and handed Quinn a Destruction Devourer seed. Why this? From now on, you're going to stick with me until you become an A-rank tower farmer. The reason Sejun summoned Quinn was to train him into an A-rank tower farmer, thereby exceeding the requirement for Sejun to become a B-rank tower farmer. After doing the calculations, he realized he might fall short on one great tower growth condition. Hehe, time to put him to work. With a sly grin, Sejun looked at Quinn and started planting the Destruction Devourer seed. Kaying. Hey, can't you see my butler is working? Hurry up and get to work. Blackie barked fiercely, as fiercely as he could at Quinn, urging him to start working. After about 2 hours of planting, flash! A blue light flashed from Quinn's body before quickly fading away. Quinn had become an A-rank farmer. He had already accumulated a lot of job experience points. Already, this was bad news for Sejun, who had planned to put Quinn to work for a long time. Oh, Sejun Nim, thank you for making me an A-rank tower farmer. Quinn expressed his gratitude to Sejun for promoting him to A-rank farmer. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, as expected, things go fast when the great Blackie Nim is around. Blackie puffed himself up proudly. Quinn, congratulations on becoming an A-rank tower farmer. Now you can return. Trying to act cool, Sejun congratulated Quinn and sent him back to the Silver Tower. Guys, let's go. When Sejun returned to the Great Black Tower. Sejun, thank you. Just now, one of the Great Tower growth conditions changed from achieved to overachieved. Thanks to you, 4 out of 8 Great Tower growth conditions have already been met. What? That means half of them are done. You said it would take time, but it only took 2 hours. Sejun, if you ever want to use Auric, feel free to take him anytime. The lower-ranked dragons in Great Tower ranking, who had come looking Sejun, spoke in excited voices. Once again, Sejun had unintentionally earned recognition from the dragons. Sejun must be tired, so let's stop bothering him and leave now. After Chrysella spoke to the other 2 dragons. Sejun, this is the Great Tower growth condition for our Golden Tower. This is for our Brown Tower. Artemis and Grave discreetly handed Sejun pieces of paper listing the Great Tower growth conditions. Guys need to follow proper order. Sejun, don't accept those. Chrysella was furious, worried that it might interfere with the Great Silver Tower's growth. I'll just hold on to them for now. Sejun accepted the papers. Since it would take time, it was better to be aware of things in advance. Once the 5 Dragons Council's dragons left, Sejun went to the kitchen, prepared, and ate dinner. After finishing dinner, Kilahit Kaying. Hee butler, the great Blackingham is ready. Blackie held a piece of the world's energy in his mouth and urged Sejun. It was a signal that it was time to go apologize together. All right, Kyungi, let's take you to Mom. Sejun carried Kyungi, who was drowsily nodding off while clinging to his side, and went to find Pinkfur. And then, Pinkfur here. Kurorong. He handed the sleeping Kyungi over to Pinkfur. Kyungi had fallen completely asleep on the way. Kyung. Sejun Nim, thank you, you've worked hard. Pinkfur carefully received Kyungi and spoke in a gentle voice. What's this? Sejun found it strange. It had only been a day since their special training, yet Pinkfur's aura had grown significantly stronger. The curious thing was that, despite this newfound strength, Pinkfur still felt incredibly gentle. Once again, the 99th floor residents of the tower were pulling further ahead of Sejun. Then see you tomorrow. Leaving behind Pinkfur, who was waving a paw at him, Sejun returned home, lay down on his bed. Coo. And immediately fell asleep. Then, will you forgive my guys if I gave you these roasted and dried sweet potatoes? He helped Blackie family apologize. As time passed and dawn approached, SRRRK, the name of the world's energy, Blackie was holding changed to. World's energy freed from corruption. Hazeli. Puhuhud. Kilihid. Sejun and his companions drifted into deep sleep, indulging in truly happy dreams. Hehe, kneel before me, all of you. In his dream, Sejun happily forced many destruction Sejuns to kneel before him.